And we're live. I think. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's been so long again. I'm not sure what's happening. Hopefully everyone can hear me, and let's do a round of applause again for our esteemed group. With me here today, we have Trevor the Miracle, Gradigan, Northern Savant, the usual suspects, and we did it, guys. We did it. I mean, so originally we were supposed to go live on Monday, but Joe had some personal stuff to deal with, so we decided to push the podcast to Tuesday. Now, on Tuesday, god damn it, shut the fuck up, YouTube. Holy shit. Maybe I should tweet out my tweet that I was supposed to tweet out. Anyway, I'm gonna show you guys. On Tuesday, while I was at work, I tweeted this tweet. Not the most interesting tweet, but I think it's worth noting that in this tweet, I'm essentially saying that we're gonna talk about Blizzard. And the Winnie the Pooh is referencing China's president. I would like to use his real title, dictator, but that would probably get me nuked here on Twitch. So I'll just keep calling him president. And when I came home, I noticed that the internet is out, completely out, and there was no way I could recover it. So I concluded that I'm getting fucked by somebody. Because, yes, because the internet came back around 5 a.m. my time, which is usually the time we're wrapping up. So they literally nuked me on the time slot that we were supposed to have the podcast. I'm convinced about this. I was getting fucked by the Chinese government itself.
You know who it really was that did that, right?
So
it was Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, you're dragging his name through the mud.
Yeah.
Probably first we got demonetized, and now we got DOSed.
So it doesn't even stop there. It doesn't even stop there. Then we decided to do the podcast today on Sunday at 2 p.m. EST. Now, Trevor messaged me, yesterday or the day before that because the weather in Georgia is fucked up right now, we have to push the podcast by 1 hour. And that was the solidifying moment in my life that I knew that the Chinese government can control the weather. And they were after us. After this podcast, we are so goddamn important that the Chinese government is afraid of us.
Dude, that just means that they've mastered time travel and they know how far we reach in the future, and they're trying to shut us down now.
I mean,
that's all it is.
They have negative latency, I think.
China's predicting what we're gonna do before we do it.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, but for real, I would like to take this short moment here to thank everybody involved in this production of this podcast for your patience and your understanding and how you are willing to work with me and to make this thing happen. Even though it's only once per month, this is a machine that's rolling, and because we're four different people with 4 different lives, coordinating all these lives to get into one spot every month is not the easiest thing.
Across the world.
Yeah, across the world. And now with the added caveat of dodging the Chinese hackers. And I have put a voodoo spell on my computer, and I've sold my soul to the devil. The last bit I had left in my pocket, you know. We should be good. We should be good for at least 1 month.
Solid.
1 month. Your soul is worth 1 month.
Yep. Because yeah, I'm
Not a lot of soul left there.
Nope. That is correct. Whew, how you guys doing?
You're doing pretty good.
I'm not feeling very good. Definitely feel a little bit under the weather here.
See, that's just China again, dude.
Yeah.
They made you sick.
Yeah.
Luckily, you were too strong, and so you're just a little under the weather.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss this for the world, dude.
I'm telling you, it's real.
Yeah.
It might sound like a conspiracy theory to everybody, but goddamn, I'm convinced. Chinese government is after us. And I mean, this podcast will happen once per month. It's over my dead body is what needs to happen if this doesn't happen. And by God, we will talk about Blizzard today. I promise everyone that. But before we get to that point, we're gonna talk about some more lighthearted stuff, I guess. So,
That's good.
Google Stadia was in the news. It has been a little dormant recently. So, Joe, since you're the internet guy, can you explain what the why Stadia has been in the news?
So the thing that I have repeatedly doubted that Stadia has been able to do is this seamless, lagless input with their controllers going over the controller itself going over your Wi-Fi, and then your input going all the way to Google's servers and immediately going into that game. So what they're claiming now is negative latency. And I'm going to assume that not everybody knows necessarily what latency is, and that's just the delay between something happening and that information getting to the server so that it happens online. So whenever you're shooting a gun in like Counter-Strike, if you press your key and it's half a second, then a bullet goes out. That's 500 milliseconds latency. So that makes sense. Everything has latency. It may be monumentally just a little bitty itty bit, like 1 or 2 milliseconds, but everything has latency. Even playing a console game offline has latency, because that's how time works.
Information has to travel.
Information has to travel. It may travel at the speed of light, but that's how time works. And Stadia is claiming to have negative latency, which is essentially implying that they've mastered time travel. Because there's no way they can have negative latency.
It's a concept that doesn't exist.
It can't exist. Like that's exactly what it is, Sully. So that's their solution is they're saying that the way that they have negative latency is that they'll be able to predict what your next most likely move is, and how they'll do that, I don't know. But they say that they'll be able to predict your most likely next move, and essentially it'll start doing that before you press the button. So it's not really negative latency. It's not doing it before you do it. It's doing it for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get like why they're calling it negative latency. They should definitely call it something else, but it's not doing it before you do it. It's doing it for you.
It still sounds, though, that it's like something from science fiction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, like, I don't know. I feel like this had better be an option that people can turn off, or else they're not going to play those games. Because a really good player of anything competitive or anything difficult probably isn't going to do what a computer thinks is the best option. I mean, that's why, like with speedrunning, task bots exist, and most people can't and won't do the task bot stuff. So it's just really silly on a lot of levels what they're trying to claim.
And even yeah, because essentially the premise is that it predicts your moves. So let's say I'm using a controller and I press the stick to go forward. When will the game know when I want to stop moving forward? So, or when I want to jump, or when I want to dodge roll, or when I want to swing my sword or whatever. Like, how can it know those things? I don't understand. Like because that's why it said either the game plays the game for me, or this is mastering time travel. Like I don't understand the concept of it.
What's even more interesting to me wouldn't be like when it knows when to stop moving. When does it know when I want to start? Is my character just gonna constantly jerk forward until it's right? It's just gonna keep swinging, and then it hits that home run that I want to move forward, and then we just go. That's what I mean. How would it know when I want to do that stuff? Because maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I only jump forward.
I think it's gonna work fairly fine when you're like constantly doing stuff. If you're like constantly moving and swinging your sword and doing all that good gaming stuff. But whenever you like stop doing something and then you start doing it again, it's gonna have that full latency for sure.
Yeah.
But as long as you keep going and going, it should be very fluent.
Yeah, I for one, I would love to get like latency every time I want to do an action. Just love latency. It's the reason I play Call of Duty with like 64 kilobyte internet, you know, to get that sweet latency so that I can never hit my shots.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it would be fine for like button mashers. Like if you just had some beat 'em ups, just some really easy, mindless, just beat 'em ups, I think that would be perfectly fine. But for like FPS games or less forgiving games like the Soulsborne titles or like Dead Cells or anything like that, where half a second is the difference between you winning and you dying in a boss battle, or you know, in a lot of those type of games, there are weapons and attacks that have a long time investment. Like it's in Dead Cells, I know that there's some of the big weapons like the broadsword that I use all the time. It's like a full second for that thing to swing around. You know, if the game thinks I'm going to do that and it dedicates a second of my mobility because it thought I was going to swing, why would I play that game? That sounds horrible.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is like the game, say you just, it thinks you're going to hit the A button. So it dedicates the thought of like, okay, he's going to press the A button in a second. And then you don't do it. Then it has to like change its mind then and go, oh, wait, he didn't press the A button. No, what's he pressing? Oh, he's pressing the Y button now. And then that kind of just defeats the whole purpose of negative latency. Like now you're having latency, and maybe it seems like maybe even longer latency because it's having to rethink things instead of just hitting the button that you press. I don't know. It just seems it's a weird concept.
I think you would hit that problem instantly with any game because, I mean, the point of a game is for your freedom. Like, if you have an open world game, do you go left, right, forward, backwards? Where do you go? How do you predict that? There's 3 enemies in front of you. Which enemy do you hit first? Which enemy do you go for? Do you use a spell? Do you use a sword? Do you use a shield? What do you do? Like, I don't understand how you can predict someone's moveset in a video game when the entire concept of video games is doing things yourself. It sounds like magic to me, and every day that passes on, I have less and less faith in Stadia. It sounded like a real cool concept back when they announced it. And the closer we get to the release date, which is next month, I would not recommend anybody buying this.
I want to step out a little bit out of this like whole gaming idea. I generally don't trust Google that much. I just think that they just want to create something to help their AI improve, like how to make AI understand better human decision making and stuff like that. That's how I feel like this Stadia is going to be. It's just something to make that AI better somehow. I feel like that's the whole purpose of this Stadia project.
Actually, that kind of ties in what I was about to ask was you mentioned AI. Do we know if like games already use like sort of negative latency with AI? Like when you're playing a game against an AI, do they predict what they think your move is going to be and then kind of base their moves off that? Has that been like, do they imply that already?
Well, technically, it's like they have a set of like movement patterns. They see you going that way, they will probably go this way or that way. It's basically
that's all
making
preset.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
technically preset, but it doesn't like learn from your previous movements to know that you're probably gonna go left because last time I saw you, you went left.
I've seen games where they claim that they have adaptive AI, which basically means that if I use a certain way to defeat an enemy, later in the game when that same enemy reappears, my old tactics won't work. But that's also in my head, I think that's just preset. If you use option A, then it will learn to counter option A, so I have to use option B instead. I don't think that's really a learning experience of an AI. I think that's just a preset set of rules, like if else kind of deals.
Yeah.
Right.
I died by a grenade, so he uses grenade, so I'll take cover next fight, kind of thing.
Yeah. And a lot of the predictive AI in NPCs isn't really predictive AI. It's just reacting to your button input, because the game knows, of course, what button you're pressing before your character does. So it can get that input. Essentially, the computer and your character are getting the input at the same moment. So it can counter that much faster, but it looks like it knew you were going to do it, and because it did.
Yeah, that's true too.
So I don't know how this. Yeah, I had so many questions whenever they first announced this, and they're steadily answering those questions, but really poorly. Like the answers are not good.
And ultimately, I don't care what Google tells me. Like when Stadia comes out, that's when we will get the real answers about latency and what kind of games are there, or even like Google has a pretty horrible track record of continuing to support their own products, and Stadia might be big enough that they kind of have to continue to support it. But at the end of the game, it's if this fails completely, then Google has no incentive of keeping it even alive.
Yeah.
Which is probably why they did promise that even if you buy games on Stadia and Stadia goes away, you still retain those games. Which, how do you play them without the Stadias? I don't really know. Yeah, Stadia coming out next month, I think. I think at least it was November.
I think that's right.
And probably the biggest streamers here on this platform will play it. And we'll probably know day one if it's broken or not.
Yeah.
If it comes out and it works 100% like they advertise, are you gonna get it?
That's a tough question.
I won't.
I honestly hadn't thought about it.
I mean,
Here's like, I'm pretty sure it's not going to work that way.
Yeah, I mean that's basically where I was this whole time. Like, there's no way this is gonna work how they say. Why would I?
Even if the AI is like very good, it's still gonna require a lot of inputs till it's like perfected. And it's probably gonna have a lot of bugs at the beginning, like every single thing you launch. So I'm not surprised if it's gonna take at least a year for it to be something you should even consider buying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because there's no big upfront cost, right? Like it's just a subscription service.
Yeah, and I think you could buy the Founders Edition for like $120. You do have to buy the controllers though.
Right.
At least I think. I'm not sure if it works with like Microsoft's controller or not.
I don't remember what they said about the controllers.
But yeah, obviously it's not a physical box or anything. It's just a subscription base like product. And you and the thing that they continuously said is that you only need Google Chrome and nothing else for it to work. So I don't know what the controller deal is.
Maybe it does work with like every kind of PC compatible controller. But I don't know, because the way that controller works by connecting to the Wi-Fi, just it doesn't make any sense to me why it would work that way. And then you can also just use like a regular USB controller, because those are completely different inputs or ways to connect. It doesn't make any sense. But that's just me, I guess.
Have they released the price for the subscription fee?
Oh yeah. They announced that months ago. I don't really remember. The thing that
$15.99 or something, I think.
Yeah, like, but and the weird part is that Joe and me both we thought that you pay the subscription and then it's like like Netflix for games kind of deal, which it isn't. So you pay the subscription and then you buy the games separately, which
it's almost like you're leasing a console, like you're renting a console.
Yeah.
Well, that sort of makes sense because you have to run the server somehow.
Right.
Oh yeah, but I mean, if an Xbox costs $300 and you pay it one time, I mean, I know that they're subscription based on the consoles anyway, for like PS Now or whatever, but
yeah, if you want to play online.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I guess my point is killed with that. If you want to play online.
So the Stadia is $10 a month. It's $10 a month, and for $130 you can get a Chromecast, a controller, and 3 months of Stadia. That seems really high for $130.
Essentially for a controller and a Chromecast.
How much?
Yeah. So that's okay. I think the Chromecasts are like $25. So that means that they're charging like $75 for the controller.
Isn't the Chromecast like this little dongle thing?
Yeah, it's a dongle that plugs into your HDMI port.
It's $40 here, like 40 euros.
Oh, is it 40? Oh, maybe it's more expensive than I thought. So if you were to get a Stadia that's $120 a year, so in like 3 years you've essentially paid for an Xbox.
That's not bad if it works, because you got to think, like, to get a high-end PC, you're going to spend $1,000 or $2,000. So to like, you're basically going to have like, it would take you what, like 10 years to pay that much for the subscription, and by then you'd have to get a new PC anyway. So I mean, and if there's stuff stays the way it should be like the highest end shit you can get. So technically, if it works, that would be definitely worth it.
And the idea that you can basically play anywhere where you can get a stable internet connection and on anything.
Yeah,
it's still gonna be like a challenge for Google, I think, to ensure for people that don't live in places that have a steady connection all the time. Like me losing internet on Tuesday, that's something that happens maybe once a year. So I mean, if you live in a place like where Comcast has a fucking maintenance day every fucking Tuesday, and your internet is out for like 2 or 3 hours, want to get Stadia at that point. Or if you're unlucky enough to live in a place that just has unstable internet altogether, like, would you ever want to have Stadia at that point?
Yeah.
Joe, I think you're muted.
I was, but that's my fault. I try to mute myself whenever I type a bunch, but I wasn't. I had just started talking. But I'm doing some comparing here to see like if it's actually cost effective. So right now, a Xbox One X, the big boy, the 1 terabyte one, is $400. I think is what it said. And then it's $60 a year for Xbox Live. So for how long would you be able to play for $500? An Xbox One X 1 terabyte is $500. So that's in the 5-year life cycle that our consoles currently have. how much would that come up to for Stadia? Would that actually be like more cost effective to just pay the monthly Stadia subscription cost as opposed to buying the Xbox and the Xbox Live? Because for for 3 years you can play Stadia for $360. In that same 3-year time span, you've paid $180 for your Xbox Live plus another $500 for the One X.
Yeah, for 5 years of Xbox Live and the Xbox, it's $800, and then
5 years of $120 a year, so $600. So, for people that have a hard time being able to afford those big upfront costs, I hope Stadia does work because of that. Yeah. That's a $200 difference, and it's way easier. It's way more digestible to pay $10 a month than it is $500 up front.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's I do hope that Stadia works, and I do hope that it's a product that will be successful, but there's just a lot of questions with Stadia that are, in my mind, they're untested and unanswered.
Yeah.
There's just so many things that can go horribly wrong with this, because a lot of what they say that the Stadia can do just fucking sounds incredible. I can't really say anything else about it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be kind of like No Man's Sky, where it's there and it does what they kind of said it can do, but they're gonna it seems like they're way over promising things, and just saying they're putting it up on a pedestal, and then when we actually get it, we're gonna be like, oh, it's not really as great as they said. It still works, but it can't travel through time.
But if there's a company that can do it, can actually pull this off, it's gonna be Google. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, they definitely have the best shot, but even then, it's you're trying to sell a service online to a group of people that are, potentially the pickiest group of consumers on the planet. I don't think anyone would disagree with that gamers in general, people who play and consume video games, are extremely picky. I know people that straight up won't play games because they don't like the color that they decided to make a jacket on a character or something. Something like that petty. There are people who won't play games for that.
Now that you mention it, I know people like that too.
Hey, dude, we're all one of them. We probably just can't even think about it.
Yeah.
I guarantee that there's a game out there that you won't play because the dude has blonde hair, and in the poster they show brown hair, and that's bullshit. So they're going after the market share of the pickiest people with a sizable chunk are also work in the industry and are going to be looking for ways to tear it to shreds.
I think we're super picky, but then again, we can take a lot of shit. Lot of shit.
Absolutely. We're picky, but at the same time forgiving, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just do it right next time.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's man, you've got a lot of promise here, and this could be sick as hell. Do it better next time. I'm gonna play this one though.
Yeah, man.
And that's it.
Yeah. We'll see what comes of Stadia. In other console news, though, I would like to toot my own horn real fucking hard, because the PS5 has been officially revealed. And it will come out when I said it will come out. Holiday 2020. So, all of you guys can essentially just say praise TumTum, because he's a wizard and he knows when consoles are coming out, even though it was kind of obvious. And it made a lot of sense. But yeah, the PS5 is coming out, and it'll like I'll show this. Kotaku reported on it, and I think like generally speaking, there's a shitload of like points here. Mostly, I think people are interested in what it will do, and I think going into technobabble is Kotaku didn't do that, and I'm not gonna do that. But here's probably the biggest thing that anybody can understand: reads physical media via 4K Blu-ray drive. So what this essentially means is the PS5 will have, presumably all games is going to be 4K. Which means that a lot of people are probably going to buy a 4K TV. So Samsung and whoever, the LG or whoever the fuck does TVs, are probably hoping to have a increase in market. But yeah, I'm personally, there's no picture of how it will look. There has been floating around a picture of the PS5 that is just the dev kit PS5, which is not what we're gonna get.
And it looks weird as hell.
Yeah, it looks weird as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see if I can find it.
It's like some V shape kind. It's like a square, but also a V shape. Kind of weird.
I opened up this link and it's all Anthem. It's literally all Anthem. Fuck that game.
The new PS5 is all Anthem thief.
This is how the dev kit looks like. It looks weird as shit.
What?
Let's go digital. SSD drive.
Okay.
Yeah. Looks like it has enough air vents.
Yeah, it looks very well ventilated, at least
90% air vents.
Yeah.
It probably has that a lot of that ventilation because I mean developers are probably testing real hard how much they can push it, so it wouldn't like overheat and shit. Where's the disk drive? I don't know.
It looks like it's that slit below the pause and forward and play and stuff.
Yeah. If that is the disk drive, that means either the discs are going to be smaller, like if we go off this image, this was the thing they released, or that thing is massive.
Yeah. Well, is this an actual picture? Or is this a 3D render? Because it almost looks like a 3D render.
I feel like it's the 3D render, and it's made that small for a reason.
There's some. Yeah, those are definitely real ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what this is.
Oh, what? Yeah, and it looks way that slot looks way bigger on the first one you showed. I don't know what that is.
I have no idea. Like,
I'm not sure that's any better though.
I don't know what this is? This is probably just an artist rendition of like something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. But it's been officially announced, which is cool. And yeah, so now we'll get back into the console wars, because the Xbox, the Project Scarlet is releasing also holiday 2020, which they announced with like no fanfare during E3, and they didn't show console or anything. So I think both studio or companies are gearing up for E3 2020, where they probably will show up. Both Microsoft and Sony will most likely show off their own consoles, and they're probably gonna show like launch titles, and they're probably gonna have super beautiful looking trailers that will not represent the final product, and the games that will come out on those consoles will probably suck, because that's what happens every console cycle.
Just how it be.
I'm looking forward to Knack 3.
Yeah, man. Make it happen, Sony.
I never even played Knack.
Was pretty good.
Wait, is there a Knack 2?
There is. Yeah, because my little brother has it.
I did play all the way through Knack 1. It was not great, but it was mindless fun.
Microsoft had when the Xbox One came out, they had, do you guys remember Rise?
Yeah.
The Spartan game.
That game did look good though, didn't it? I never played it, but
Yeah,
what
I mean,
remember...
it looked good fucking 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, every game looks as good now, at least that good. And it pretty much had nothing else going for it. It was a short game where you just sliced some dudes up and it looked pretty.
Yeah.
That was it. But yeah, I'm personally, like, I've already said this during my own streams. I'm not sure if I've said it here, but I genuinely believe that 2020 will be the biggest year in gaming. Because at the start of the year, we'll have the last games coming out on this console generation, which is Last of Us 2. We got Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then we got Cyberpunk coming out. And then sprinkled through the year, the usual fucking games. And then when holiday hits, we get the new consoles. So, regardless of what games each of you think are good or bad, or what your expectations for those games are, there's no doubt in my mind that every game that I just listed are goddamn massive and are going to sell tons and tons of copies.
Definitely.
And just as a fuck you to everybody who has a wallet and not the greatest income, they decided to push Doom Eternal to fucking March. Let Doom duke it out there with, you know, the small guys like FF7 and, you know, Cyberpunk.
The small guys?
The small guys. It's just sarcasm.
Yeah, that's me being sarcastic.
Phew, I thought you were serious there for a second. Holy crap. I mean, honestly, that's going to be a really sick month. Let's think about that for a second. March next year is going to be awesome. Those 3 games all coming out at once. If you're bored, you're doing it wrong.
Cyberpunk is not coming out in March, but it comes out in April. So we got February, March, and April are all seeing huge releases.
Yeah.
And I'm just, thank you, game industry, for putting out Cyberpunk last, because I'll probably spend most time on that game. And it would be really detrimental to all the other games if it would come out first, because I, for one, could probably not finish that game in a week or 2 even.
But you know what sucks? If you don't have PS4, next year is gonna be a shitty year to go and buy PS4 before Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay, so here's the rumors. Nothing is confirmed, but there's a very good chance this will happen. Apparently, the PS5 will have backwards compatibility with all Sony systems.
But they're gonna lose so much money, like so.
I don't think they would. I think the PS5 will mean that you can buy a PS5 and you have all those old games, so you could play those games.
Yeah, I'd actually see them making more money, because what do people do with their PS2 games and PS3 games? Nothing. They just either they throw them away or they just sit on a shelf or something.
You resell them from your PS5.
Yeah,
So see, now people are gonna go out and be like, oh, I remember that game that I had that I played on PS2 and PS1 and stuff. I want to go buy that game again. Because now I got a PS5 that can play it.
Yeah.
So Chad is asking disc or digital. I'm assuming disc.
I believe it's disc.
I do see them potentially doing the same thing as they've done so far, in like just re-releasing in like a pseudo remastered version on their online service.
Yeah.
I've seen hopeful people on the internet being, and I don't know if they're sarcastic or not, because I can't read sarcasm from text. But there seems to be some people hopeful that the entire Sony library would be on the PS5. Every single game that's ever been done on a Sony console. Which, I mean, yeah, technically they could probably do that, but I mean, we're talking thousands upon thousands of games, and frankly, I wouldn't want that. Like, who the fuck can you even list 100 PS1 games that you personally played, or or even fucking liked.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it.
It's gonna be like a sea of games. You're gonna have trouble finding the game you actually want unless you know what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say with like all of the classic consoles that they've been releasing, I could see them not all of it, but I could see a heavy amount of their marketing going towards being the ultimate Sony experience or some BS like that, where they're marketing it to where this is the PlayStation, this is the one you need because this will play all of them. This is the Sony experience. I could see them if they did that. I could see them really heavily pushing with that.
I can see that too. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting regardless what they're gonna like pull off. They're gonna make a lot of money no matter what they do. It's probably gonna sell like hell.
See, if they've managed to, because I knew way earlier this year, Sony filed a patent for a system that allows them to emulate older systems within the PS5, and that already got people hopeful that the PS5 would be backwards compatible with all the other systems. And this rumor has recently just resurfaced as a very, very strong rumor. I can see if Sony pushes for it, they are going to market it as Joe stated, that it'll be the ultimate Sony experience, and they'll probably resell a lot of old games. If they just get the source code for the game, and they have a thing in place that emulates them, you wouldn't even need to remaster them or anything. You wouldn't have to do anything. You just fucking put it on the store and it works. Because what they're essentially saying is that the PS5, inside of the PS5, there's a PS4, a PS3, a PS2, and PS1.
I feel like that's gonna have a lot of trouble running. And it's gonna have a lot of bugs. But hopefully it will work out.
Hey man, Google is...
When you have that many... Yeah, when you have that many moving parts, it's gonna have... It's like asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Google is selling us negative latency, and Sony is selling 5 consoles in one.
Yep. Yeah. What a time to be alive.
Microsoft is there in the corner crying with their basic fucking console that only runs like new games.
It has a cool name though.
I mean,
Project Scarlet.
It's never gonna be named Project Scarlet when it comes out. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's gonna be the Xbox 2, the ultimate Xbox.
Xbox box.
Xbox box.
I would buy it.
I bet it's gonna be called Xbox box.
I will eat my socks if it's Xbox box.
That would be good. We can hope.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely, I don't think we're gonna have a whole lot of more news type of things about these consoles this year anymore. I think Sony put out this announcement so that to get people talk about it, so that when E3 rolls around next year, they can do something like big and splashy. Or, I don't know, I mean, maybe there's no E3 next year. Who knows? Like, the death of E3 has been predicted now for, like, I don't know, 15 years or some shit. And Sony has their own thing, but, I mean, they can't do really the PS experience next year if they're gonna fucking release the console on the holidays. But yeah, that's the PS5. So let's talk about stuff we've been what we've been doing. So Trevor.
Yes.
Talk about all that good VR porn you've been watching.
Yes.
Did you get that one game? You know, the one we were talking about that we were all shocked that it was so vulgar and actually available?
I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
No, there was that. What was that one game that was like straight up like super VR porn? that we talked about it on the podcast once, and I cannot remember what, but we were all like, holy crap, there's a game that you can do that in VR. Man,
oh shit, I think I remember it now.
It was a whole discussion, and every time we found something new on it, we were like, oh my god.
I remember talking about a game. I don't remember the name of it or what it was about or anything.
As soon as we find it, I'm gifting it to you.
No, so I just bought the Oculus Rift S probably like 3 or 4 days ago, and basically I've been playing it nonstop, and it's weird because like I'm having dreams about playing VR now and things like that. Like it's weird, and I got it the first 2 days I had it. I don't think I even played a game on it. I think I just was like walking around my little hub apartment room and like decorating things and stuff and just kind of getting used to it. And actually, I do take that back. The first day, I was trying to troubleshoot it with Sully, who's never played on VR, so that was kind of a weird thing to troubleshoot with him. But my controllers were not working. They just did not work at all. Like with how it would coordinate, like my hands in the games would be just like all up like this, and I couldn't figure it out. And I thought it was like, well, I bought a new technology that just isn't there and it's fucked up. Basically, is what I thought. So I ended up uninstalling the whole thing and reinstalling. And once I reinstalled, works perfectly. Hasn't had a problem with any kind of thing like that. So I will tell people, if you have problems with your controllers or shit not like lining up, just uninstall, reinstall. Anyway, so I did the whole apartment thing a few days, and then the first actual game that I played was Skyrim, and that's an older game. It's not even made for VR, really. Technically, they kind of adapted it to it, but man, it looks amazing. Like, I know that Grady, you've played VR. Have you played Skyrim in VR?
I haven't. I've wanted to, because I've actually heard Skyrim is really good in VR, especially compared to Fallout 4. I've heard that Fallout 4 is way worse than Skyrim VR.
Yeah, I haven't played Fallout 4 just because it's only for the Vive, and I have the Oculus, and apparently you can play with the Oculus, but it's just not compatible with controllers and stuff. But I would say definitely get it. The thing is, I've noticed, and it's only with Skyrim though, I do get like a little nauseous like playing it. Other games I have no problems, but that game, for some reason, like just walking upstairs just makes me like, I don't know. I've played the roller coaster game and had no problems. Just like, looking around like, oh, this is cool. But like just going up a flight of stairs in Skyrim makes me just go, oh, I'm gonna puke my brains out now. But I don't know. It's just so. I think the way that I would tell people that haven't experienced VR at all is like, imagine going from like just NES, just using an NES, and then that's your only gaming experience. And you're like, okay, Super Mario is cool. And then the next game you see is like God of War 4. And that's like how the jump for me is. It's like, it doesn't seem like the technology should exist. Because it just feels weird that like you're in the game. I don't know how. Like, I would suggest everyone to buy a VR headset. It's amazing.
Yeah, I also have a Vive, and I kind of felt the same way. And the more you find out how capable the technology already is, like the more your mind starts to wander on what it can be, because like you said, it's already pretty crazy, like how it feels and like how it moves and everything. But and even the stuff that that I haven't done, and since you're fairly new with it, I wouldn't think you had either. But like they have these sensors that you can get that are about that big, and they're on a strap that you can put anywhere on your body. Like you can put it on your waist or on your feet. And those can also act as sensors for moving around. Like I was in VR chat and there was a dude dressed up as Master Chief, like straight dancing because he had sensors on both his feet and his waist. So VR chat was essentially tracking his whole body. And he could actually just stand there and dance. Like he didn't have to put in any key inputs. He was just dancing. So Master Chief was dancing. And that blew my mind.
Yeah, I think the technology, just VR, how long has it been around? Just like
maybe 5 years commercially,
like 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Like the technology has grown so much, and like they're just coming out with stuff every day. I think, like I was just looking today, they have like these little things that you can strap to the bottom of your shoes. So any shoe you wear, any shoes you want to wear, and they strap to the bottom of your shoes, and then you kind of what you want to do is sit in a kind of a higher stool that can spin around. And basically the bottom of these plates you put on your shoes have like a little roller, and they're very smooth, and you just run. Like obviously you're sitting, but your feet are running, so it makes your character run instead of having like press forward on the joystick. So that's even more immersive. Like you actually feel kind of like you're running in the game. I kind of want to get them, but I'll let them get developed just a little bit more. But I don't know. It's a technology that I feel like I'm an old man now, that I'm just like, oh, this is so crazy. But I think that anyone that hasn't experienced it before is gonna feel that way when they do experience it. Like
the next upgrade I'm gonna get, and I would recommend it for you before you get like the little feet things and anything like that, is it doesn't necessarily have to be from them, but I would look at some alternatives. Is like Valve has those knuckle controllers, is what they're called, or something like that, where they have like individual pressure points for each one of your fingers, and it knows how tightly you're gripping with those fingers. So like if you're just holding onto the controllers, your character's hands are just going to be like that. But if you like start to squeeze on those controllers, it actually will register how hard you're squeezing, and you can actually make your hands like do this. So like if you just squeeze with these,
my controllers are touch sensitive like that already.
Well, I mean, like it's like individual finger. Like mine are too, where if I squeeze it, it moves the whole hand.
Mine can do the thumb, the index finger, and these 3 fingers all individually.
Yeah, that's nice. I don't know if mine does or not, but I know for sure that the ones that I've seen, it's like intricate control for every finger.
Yeah, mine's like touch sense, because like just the buttons and the joysticks, if you just touch them without pressing them in, your hands will still do just this little movement right here. Like, and then if you press them all the way in, then they'll squeeze. So they're like they're very sensitive to touch.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're kind of like, I guess they're integrating that in the controllers now, so you don't have to wear gloves and things like that.
Yeah. I know that mine has like 2 buttons on the side, so you can squeeze to grip stuff, but they're not like that sophisticated.
Yeah. I was looking at like some other technology coming up with now, with just like you said, like gloves. It's gloves that you wear, but instead of like controlling the fingers, it's when you touch something in the game, it'll put like, I guess they have like little air pockets in the gloves, or somehow, and it'll inflate and put pressure on your hands in the area, so that when you touch a table, you feel the table on your hands. Like, I don't know how to,
like a haptic feedback type thing.
Yeah, basically.
That's like asking for accidents. I'm just gonna lean on this table.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
People are gonna get. You go. You say.
Well, I was just gonna say that there's one person that it's gonna overinflate, and someone's gonna lose a finger. It's gonna go all the way around. It's gonna cut off circulation.
I don't know, the games. Like I said, I've only played Skyrim mostly, and then today I played Asgard's Wrath, which is somewhat of a Skyrim-esque game. Like, you have like a sword, bows, things like that. You can definitely tell a difference in the games. Like, you can tell Skyrim was adapted for the VR, and like Asgard's Wrath was made for VR. things are more fluid, I guess you would say, and there's a lot more interactions, I guess. So, like I was playing when I was playing today, like the first area you go to is like a little bar, and like basically you can pick up like almost anything on the tables, and you grab the stuff, and if you throw it at someone, it'll hit them, and they'll be like, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, and like they have reactions to things. Like if you go up to someone and like kind of hit them on the back, they'll be like, "Hey, what the hell?" You know. So you can just tell, like in Skyrim, if you walk to someone, you go to hit them, your hand will just go through them. You know, it doesn't do anything. So you can tell that you can definitely tell it's made for VR, and like I'm looking forward to the games that are going to be coming out because the technology is going to get better. So
one of the games that I really would like to try out on VR, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's essentially it's like a tower defense game, but it's all on a table. So like in the VR game, you're the guy at the table, and you actually like pick stuff up and like physically move the towers around for the course for the tower defense. And I thought that just seemed like such a cool concept.
I don't know if I've seen that. I've seen a game similar to that where you're basically looking at a battlefield and your soldiers are basically, think of like Smite or something, where your soldiers are running to the other side, and basically you can like take them and point to where you want them to go, and then if there's you have tanks, you can grab the tanks and tell them where to go, and there's planes flying around, and you grab the planes and throw them where you want them to go and strafe where they're going to strafe at. So it's kind of like you're just watching the battle, but you're dictating where everything goes just by pointing at it and dragging it and things like that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
I definitely want to try VR. I wouldn't buy a VR headset for myself before I would experience it, because I'm afraid that I would get nausea from it.
Yeah, nausea, I would say, could be a problem. Everyone's different, so it's hard to tell. And the only bad thing is, say you try it, you might play a game, you have no nausea at all, and then then you buy it, and you go, "I'm going to buy this game now," and you buy this game, and that game causes nausea for you. So
yeah,
it's just one. And I also do think that the more you play it, because your brain is having to register something completely new. You're seeing an environment that isn't actually impacting your body, and your brain and your eyes are telling your brain what's going on, and then your brain doesn't know what to do with that information, which causes like nausea and headaches and things like that. And I do think the more you play it, the more your brain starts comprehending what's going on, and then the nausea goes away. Because like the first time I played Skyrim, I played for like 30 minutes, and then I was getting sick. I had to put it down. And then next day I played it, and it was like I played for 2 hours, and I was kind of getting sick a little bit, and just kind of fought through it. And then like the next time I played it, didn't get sick at all. So
yeah, it's definitely a case by case on which games do and don't get you nauseous, because there's some games that I'll play, and then I'll play another game pretty similar to that, and it won't do anything. Like the one that I played was like it was an MMO called Orbis, and it made me sick as a dog. Like I was nauseous for probably an hour or more after I got done playing it. And it's just kind of like a Skyrim type game, except it's much more cartoony. It's like cel shaded, and the NPCs in it look more like Mii's from Nintendo or something like that. And then I'll turn around and play like a super sophisticated like sword and sorcery game like Skyrim, and I'll be perfectly fine. But the the poopy little game that cost me $5 makes me sick.
I think it has to do something with the like how the game is optimized. And I'm pretty sure that whoever develops the game, they also learn from their mistakes and try to make it better, so that you don't feel as nauseous as before.
Yeah.
I would say, I think, I mean, just from a year or so ago, like the average headset with the controllers and everything was like at least $1,000. And like now you can I bought the Oculus Rift S for, I think total with tax and everything, it was like $420. So it's I mean, it's basically like buying a new console, but I would say it's definitely worth it, even with the minimum amount of games they have, which I think that people kind of underestimate the amount of games there are for it. But I would say that it's still worth the investment because more games are going to come. It's $420. If you have the money, I would definitely suggest getting that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to see you guys so excited about VR. You look like a little kid going like, yeah, VR, let's go.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Thanksgiving because I'm going to take it to my grandparents' house and like have them try it on and see what they do. I'll probably film it. And
they're going to freak out.
That's something that, and I don't want to get sentimental here for a second, but that's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration either. Because I have an aunt that unfortunately she's wheelchair bound. And I took it over to her house. I had the setup. I mean, I took everything. I took my PC. I took everything over there. And we went on like the Google Earth VR thing, and she loved it. Like you can literally see she's always wanted to go to Italy. So I just plopped her right down in the middle of Italy and she had a blast. And there's a lot of stuff like that I think people don't consider that, you'll be able to experience things that you'll never be able to do. And that made her day, just being able to do that.
Yeah, I was actually on Google Earth not too long ago, and me and my girlfriend, we were talking about that too, like how it would be awesome for people that just are disabled and can't travel or wheelchair bound, like you said, or something like that, just to be able just to pop this thing on and become Superman and just fly anywhere in the world and just look at anything they want to look at. If they can't go to Italy, they can just go, oh, I'm gonna go to Italy now, and then yeah, I would say it's a great tool for that. And then I wouldn't be surprised if for like educational purposes, if it probably had to be higher in schools, or unless like Oculus and Vive start donating to schools, but I could see them being implemented in schools later on for educational reasons.
Also, imagine this. I think this has been already done. I'm not really sure. Like, imagine you buying a concert ticket, and then there's an actual concert somewhere. Let's say Metallica's playing somewhere, but they have like a camera set up somewhere, and when you use the ticket, you put the headset on. You're at home, where you can watch the concert, and it like feels like you're there.
Yeah.
And I think this has been done with some artists or bands already. But there's nothing clicking like who that would have been. But you could
there's actually VR YouTube videos that you can watch. Yeah, so there is actually some stuff like that. It's pretty cool. I don't know of any like bands, but I was watching a Tim and Eric video. And the joke for that video was that it was needlessly a VR video. Like it was just them sitting there talking, but it had like 4 points of VR that you could and you could look around the set and see everybody working on it and everything. It was really funny. But yeah, that kind of stuff does already exist. It's out there. I don't know how many VR YouTube videos there are, but they exist.
Yeah. Like I think the concert thing is awesome, a great idea for for people to use and stuff. Because like, again, for people that can't go to concerts, it's something that they could just put on, and like my grandmother, she probably couldn't go to whatever country artist that she likes now and go sit down, and she can't stand there. She actually told me the other day, the last concert she went to, she had to sit down, and the person that was in front of her stood up and stood the whole time, and she said she didn't get to see the concert at all. Like she just sat there and looked at someone's back the whole time. So, she went to go see Kiss and AC/DC.
Oh wow.
So, if they had like the VR setup thing, that she could still put that on and get that the realistic, like she was actually there and even front row.
See, like, because the music industry specifically is they're heartless monsters. I'm just gonna be completely honest. And if they could monetize a 60,000 people venue and sell 300,000 tickets to that one venue, they will do that. And like, I think it's kind of like an easy thing to do. Like, the band goes on a regular tour or whatever, and you could buy a higher price ticket to go to the venue itself. Or if you want to, you could buy like a ticket for like half price, but it's a VR ticket. And then they just have somewhere in the venue, they have like a camera just sitting there, like with a view, and then you can put the headset on and you just look around and the band's playing.
I could actually like see someone setting up like a VR theater where you could basically, it would be a movie theater. You could just go in there and, I don't know, go to Metallica concert or something like that. Like, you could pick whatever you would want to see.
Apparently somewhere
something like that happening, because
apparently
not everyone wants
around,
to invest $1,000 for VR equipment.
Yeah, apparently there's somewhere around here called VR Bar, and it's a bar where you go and drink, but you put on VR headsets. And like, I don't know what you do there. I guess you order your shit off the VR menu.
Oh, I know what you do there. You watch naked VR ladies pole dancing.
A gentleman's club.
Yeah. You can't touch them though, because they're not real.
But,
that would be too funny if it was just a shithole. Like, before you go in the door, they're like, "All right, buddy, no further till you put on this VR headset." And it's just like, there's not even walls; it's just bare wires hanging from the ceiling. And they're like, "What is? I feel stuff bumping into me." Oh, it's part of the experience. Those are vines. You're in a jungle.
yeah.
Dude having a time of his life. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah, he's in the middle of an abandoned warehouse. There's a dude doing heroin.
I just imagine people sitting in they just put people in bathroom stalls. Sit down right here. All right, you're in the bar.
Right Here's a table for you.
Yeah, because like in the end, I really think that the possibilities with virtual reality are really huge. You can fucking do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, when you think too much about it, it always tends to go to the dystopian future where we all live in actual shitholes, but we find peace within ourselves by putting on a headset and everything looks like gold and shiny.
Yeah. What you're like, just to kind of tie into that for a second, like what's kind of weird is like, I was telling you guys earlier, is like in the VR hub area that I was in, like I was installing a game, so I was just kind of sitting there waiting for this game to install, and I didn't have anything to do, so I was like, well, I can take the headset off and watch something on Netflix on my screen, or I was like, or I can install a giant big ass 85-inch big screen on my VR wall and go stand in front of that and watch that. And the weird thing is, it looks like you look like you're looking at an 85-inch TV.
Yeah,
like
it's
instead of,
dude, it's wild. I don't mean to, but it's that. Did you know you can watch that with other people too?
Yeah.
There's a movie theater in it's not VR chat. I think it's just like their generic thing. There's a movie theater, and you can actually have other people join your game, and they can sit in the movie theater with you. I had a buddy who was at his house with his VR headset on, and we sat there and watched Netflix. We watched Netflix in this theater with like this 1,000-inch movie screen, just hanging out. And you just put voice on, and it was like we were just sitting there watching TV. It was crazy.
Yeah. And like, I know you said you want to wait. Like, I bought my VR headset blind. I had never tried one before. Didn't know what to expect. Had no clue. And like I obviously I endorse buying one. I had a buddy of mine come over, and I was like, hey, you need to come check out my VR headset. He's like, all right, I'll come over. He came over. He hung out for like 20 minutes. He was actually bringing something to drop off something. He probably put the headset on, wore for like 10 minutes before he had to leave. And then when he took it off, he's like, I'm buying one of these as soon as I get back. And within 10 minutes, he was sold on it. Like, he's like, I'm buying it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, I keep, the more you talk about it, Trevor, the more I remember how cool, and now I want to go set mine back up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the nostalgia of it will I don't know if that's the right word, but the
initial
feeling
high.
of the initial high might die down. But at this moment, I like honestly feel like I'm like, why would I go back to 2D screen?
Damn.
Why would I play 2D games when I could be in the game, kind of thing?
Why would I play these basic games? No, man.
This is regular reality? No, thank you.
Fuck that. And with that, should we talk about regular games?
Sure.
Yeah, I guess
if you want to take a step back, whatever.
Yeah. If you want to go to this old technology.
Why would we start off with the VR thing in the first place? Could have just picked up.
Do you think I planned these things ahead?
Yeah.
But okay, I can talk briefly about Blair Witch. Which came out on the 31st of August, and I played it after the last podcast episode that we did last month. And I'll be real fucking honest, the game is $30, takes around 3 to 4 hours to complete, and it is a walking simulator. And with those 3 points, a lot of people are already deciding that, well, this game's not for me. That said, my god, did I enjoy Blair Witch. I can't really talk too much about Blair Witch because a lot of it is spoilery. But few things. It's a horror game. It's very atmospheric horror. It has a couple of jump scares in it, but it mainly dabbles in atmospheric horror. The story is okay, I guess. It kind of really depends on what you. It's hard for me to talk about story because I don't know what the level of what you guys think is a good story. Like, I might think it's fine. Some people would think it's just shit. I do have to say that if you played any recent horror games, there's a trend going on within horror games, and you can suss out the ending of this game in the first 30 to 40 minutes. I will pull up some gameplay from the early game. So, okay, well, no, that's fine.
Would you say that, did they, without giving any spoilers, did they tie, how should I say this? Is it a game that they attach the Blair Witch title to like sell more, or does the story actually kind of tie in with the Blair Witch theme, I guess, if that makes sense?
So you can slap any name on this game and it wouldn't change anything. However, in the first 2 minutes of the game, they reference the first movie by saying that 3 people went missing in the woods. Spoilers for the Blair Witch movie that came out in 1998 or 1999, I think. They had the 20th year anniversary here. They also, there is a, I don't know why the video is actually rolling. I'm just doing random shit, staring at the same place. That wasn't me pausing it or anything. They do employ the Blair Witch logo a lot in the game. You can find these pictures. There's a lot of them. All of those pictures are pictures of the developers, which it was a neat way to tie in the dev team into the game. You do have a dog in the game named Bullet, and yes, you can pet the dog. and that's like a growing thing in video games these days. The game is very dark. That is not like me having the brightness way too much down. It's just a dark game. I mean, it's a horror game, so what do you expect?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I really did enjoy this. They do reference, I think they do at least reference the movie at the last portion of the game, where you enter a house. Spoilers for the game. There's a house in the game. The house looks very much like the house in the movie, and it kind of has the same layout as the house in the movie, but then it completely throws that out of the window, and the last third of the game is completely just trippy.
Would you say it's like you go into the house and take a bunch of acid?
Yeah, it's almost like you go into the house and you take a bunch of acid. Yes, there's supernatural elements in this game, and they hint at the supernatural elements throughout the game. There's a reason for the supernatural elements. This is me being a pussy by not going down the fucking stairs.
Little by little.
Little by little. I mean, I'm not good with horror games. And
yeah, me neither.
this is actually a portion of the game. There's a lock on this thing. I never opened that door. I never found the combination for this door. So I have no idea what's behind this door. And
Probably the true ending.
Yeah.
there are multiple endings in this game. I think I got the quote-unquote bad ending. I watched Co Carnage finish this game today, and I think he got the neutral/good ending. Yeah. I think
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I do like that that horror games do seem to be less and less about like blood and like gory monsters and stuff like that, and it's more like a story plot driven scary thing that actually draws you in, instead of just like the old Resident Evils where it's like, oh my god, that zombie sure does look spooky. It's like, this is like, there's nothing here that's scary. There's nothing about this, that you're just wandering around outside, but like you're so into the story that you're not even, you almost didn't go down some stairs.
Yeah. And you can definitely, like, when you look to the woods with the flashlights, you can like see the light actually reflect very well. And it actually seems like you're in the forest. This would be like so scary to play with like VR.
Yeah, this game in VR would be a goddamn trippy experience.
Yep.
Yeah, I would definitely have an extra pair of pants on standby.
Yeah.
And the sound design of this game is phenomenal. I think I mentioned the sound design every, I don't know, 15 to 30 minutes. Like, especially walking in the woods, you can hear the crackling of the woods, and you can hear like it sounds like steps because twigs get broken, and you don't know if it's you or if it's the game or if it's something else.
Yeah, I would say like with action games and adventure games and stuff, like sounds important for every game, obviously, but it's, you know, it's important for those games. But I think when it comes to the horror, it's probably one of the most important things, like almost more important than the visuals. Because like you said, you can have almost a completely black screen, but if you hear a twig snap to your left, you're like, oh shit, you know. It just creates sound. I think for the horror genre in gaming is probably the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, I personally I think if your entire like horror thing that you have in your game is jump scares, then I'm not a fan of that. I do understand this is actually something, this is one of the supernatural elements in the game, where your camera can literally bend reality. Yeah, but I'm not gonna say too much about that. But because it really like it ties into the gameplay aspects of the game. Like ultimately the game has very little gameplay mechanics because you're just walking around and your flashlight in front of you.
Yeah.
But there are the camera can literally bend reality, and it's utilized in gameplay mechanics. There's also like a crouch and a sprint, and but yeah, like you guys see my face on there. I'm a huge pussy. That's what I am. I'm a huge pussy, and I'm not scared to admit that.
I was actually wrapped up in the gameplay. I didn't even notice your face.
And like this, obviously, this doesn't convey the entire experience because you can't hear the game. But the sound design it fucking impacts so much in this. And like, there's random things happening. Like, there's a voice in your head who says random things. And you have the dog. When the dog is like out of your vision, and you're calling the dog back, and it doesn't appear in the first 2 seconds, my anxiety went like from here to here. Like, if the dog was somewhere else, I got scared so fucking much. And I'm like, bullet, and you can hear the dog coming from somewhere, and it doesn't appear, and you're, oh shit, now I'm fucking alone here, man. And then it's like pitch fucking black, and you don't know where to go, and then the dog appears from the bushes and wags his little tail, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, man.
Did the dog ever jump scare you on accident? Like, not even purposely?
No, the dog didn't, because the dog is very, very loud, and you can clearly like hear the dog like running. You can understand that it's the dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I had a very good experience with this game. It employs like this. If anybody read the little thing, like Ellis is saying, did we walk in circles? There's a lot of mind bending in this game where something appears, like walking in circles, for instance, when you know that you're not walking in circles. It has those types of things in the game, which are really prominent in the last third.
That was a theme in the actual movie, just walking in circles when they kind of knew they weren't. So
it's definitely meant to be like you getting disoriented in the woods. Because I mean, anybody who's had any experience in walking in actual woods know that you get disoriented really, really easily. Which is why I would not recommend anyone going into any sort of woods if you don't know the woods. Knowing left from right and from forward and backwards is super difficult in a dense woods where you have no landmarks except trees. But yeah, that was Blair Witch. Ultimately, I actually flipped off in another jump scare. As the video is still rolling for me, but I'm gonna put it away. I don't want to show any more of the game if you guys want to play it. Because I had a good time with the game. I genuinely think this is what, as a walking simulator, it fucking works. And ultimately what impacts if it's a good game or not for a lot of people is the story. Because you can suss out the story in the first like 30 minutes. It's super easy if you like know what's going on. But ultimately, I'd recommend this game on a sale because $30 for 4-hour gameplay it's a little steep, But
I feel like they're like hoping that you're gonna be so scared that you're not gonna even like try to look for the story, and you just like it gets presented to you, and you're like, oh, actually that makes a lot of sense now.
It's just easy to suss it out if you pay attention a little bit.
Another thing about the game is, in case anyone like wanted it and then they saw like reviews of it at first, like the initial release, I believe that there were a lot of bugs and like just a lot of stuff wrong with it, and they like fixed it like within like the first 3 days of it being released. So I think now it is playable. I mean, Tom's saying it's playable. So, but yeah, if anyone did like look at it on day one and say, "Oh, it's the game's fucked," I don't think it's fucked anymore.
Day one reviews were horrible. Really in the 5 out of 10s and 6 out of 10s. if I would rate this game, I would say it's 7.5 out of 10, or a 7 out of 10, taking everything into consideration. Yeah.
So does it not really have any replayability?
I wouldn't say so. No. Once you play it once, there's really nothing else you can kind of do differently.
Yeah, I would assume, once you play through it once, you know where all the jump scares are, and it's so that whole factor is just out the window. And
well, so the story, like, because I know you said you saw someone else got like the neutral or the good ending. It's so the story and the difference between those you don't think it's good enough to play through it again to get that other ending yourself, or other possible endings?
So I haven't seen all the endings. But I do believe, because I think Ko got a different ending than I did. There's an extra 2 seconds in Ko's ending that I didn't get.
Oh, yeah, that's not worth it.
So is it the same ending, just maybe a little bit more lore in the ending, or? Yeah. Okay, so it's not like a completely different ending then.
No, I don't believe so. There might be a third ending that I haven't seen that is completely different. But I can't really see them, because the resolution the game comes to at the end cannot really be changed, because then the entire game would change. The entire plot leading up to the resolution cannot be changed, in my mind at least. Because it wouldn't make any sense. So that's why I say that I personally don't think that there's replayability in it. If you just don't want to experience the trippy last third of the game, who knows? But yeah, that was Blair Witch. So, what about that Noita?
Yeah.
Trevor gets to go again.
Oh yeah, who's all played it?
I have.
Well, we can talk about it then, Tim.
Pull up some
I enjoy
gameplay.
it. It's a game that when I first looked at it, I was like, this doesn't look like it's going to be that good. And then I was like, well, you know what? I saw Tom play it and he was having fun with it. I guess I'll go ahead and get it and see if I'll, see what I think. And first time I played it for 5 hours. And basically died about 35 times in the 5 hours. It's a hard game. It's very hard.
Very unforgiving too.
Yeah, for me, it's really hard. Obviously, I'm sure there's someone out there that can run through it every single time, but it's a kind of like a road game, where basically you're going from point A to point B, and then you beat the game, and then you start over and do it again.
To explain a little bit what the game actually is, you play as a witch, and every run starts at the same point. You go down to the mines, or do you? Kind of choose. And the big draw of this game is that every pixel is simulated, which has interesting interactions with the game. Another big part is that there's a lot of different liquids in the game, and they do all different things. They work as kind of status effects, I guess. So you can be wet, which means that you really don't catch on fire. You can be toxic, which means you're poisoned. You can have other kind of things on you that makes...
You can be on fire.
Yeah, you can be on fire and take continuous damage, but yeah, you can totally be on fire.
Yeah.
I like the game too. It's an interesting indie game. I might be super biased because this game is made by my countrymen, but I'm gonna refuse to acknowledge that.
It's a game that, if you just look at it, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on, but there's a lot more to the game than what you think. There's a lot of secrets, a lot of secret, I guess you say bosses and things like that, areas. There's a whole alchemy kind of thing where you mix different liquids and make new liquids, and then you can throw things into the liquids and make reactions. And like, I don't think they told anyone any of this stuff. It's just people are just discovering it as they play, and I think people are still discovering new things even now. Um, but
Also
yeah, there's
doing like basic things like you can have a pool of oil and there's a lantern on top of it. If you blow that lantern up so that the fire touches the oil, everything will just burn or explode. A lot of things explode in this game, and a lot of things are on fire. That's
yeah.
And I killed myself for some reason there. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. I'd honestly, it's probably one of the most recent games I've had a lot of fun with. I would recommend anyone to get it and try it out.
This
If you're
definitely
into rogue games.
Yeah, it definitely has this one run mentality, or one more run mentality, much like Isaac has, or
Yeah.
Dead Cells, or Enter the Gungeon. Yeah, they're still updating this game. It's in early access. I forgot to say that, but it works. It has some minor bugs, but I've only experienced one crash myself. The screen is, by the way, shaking because something is exploding somewhere. It happens a lot. But yeah, I still have not beaten the game, quote unquote. I definitely haven't found all the secrets. And basically what I'm saying is I don't know the depth of the game.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen a lot of people play this, but I haven't found a person who actually knows like what is the end goal of the game. What do you actually have to do? All I know is that you just go around, try to get deeper and deeper into the mines and blow up stuff and try not to catch yourself on fire.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say this, but the end goal of the game is you get to the final boss and you beat the boss, basically. I mean,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of exploration in the game. Like Tom was saying, you go down deeper and deeper and deeper until you get to the final boss. Or do you? Is that where do you want to go down? You know, you can go, there's other options and other places you can go and things like that, which lead to more areas and stuff. So, and they just came out with an update for the game a few days ago, where I think they even added more secret areas, and there's like they added more spells, which I will say with the spells, a big thing with the game is spell crafting. And so you get wands, and then your wand will have like a certain amount of slots, and then you have to find spells or purchase them or whatever. And apparently, from what I've been looking and reading is, if you want to win the game, you have to get good at spell crafting and knowing how the spells interact with each other and stuff, because you can make a spell where as soon as you shoot the projectile, it may just explode and just kill you immediately if you craft the wand the wrong way. So that's like a big aspect of it. But they just added like 15 or 16 new spells with just the recent updates. I'm assuming they're going to add more. But yeah,
There's definitely situations where I've picked up a wand and I have no idea what it does, and I use it and I just die.
Yep.
And I had I found a wand with a nuke, and I thought that because I knew that the nuke has a big explosion, like for real. So I thought that I was far enough from the nuke's explosion, but I wasn't. So I died.
Yeah, I've seen a wand. Like if you look at Tom's game, I don't know if this is the nuke that you're talking about, but I saw a wand that basically wiped out every bit that you can see on screen. It wiped everything out.
Yeah, the nuke that I found basically did the same thing. It leaves a little bit. Like I was trying to shoot it off screen, and I think it hit an enemy on the way, and then I was just at the edge of the blast zone, and I still died. But yeah, this is, for me especially, this is a very easy game to recommend. I think that if you like games like Isaac, Dead Cells, or Enter the Gungeon, this is a game that you can very easily get into.
This game is like, I find it harder to play like when I say harder, like the controls are good, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the controls are bad, but like it's harder to control your character and aim than it is like an Isaac or another game similar like that. Like for some reason, I don't know, this, like I just feel like keeping an eye on my character and then trying to aim at the same time is way more difficult in this game than it is in, say, Isaac.
Yeah, and what makes it even harder is that spells have those random elements in them. Like you can shoot a spell and point at a location, and it still might not hit that point. It might go like up or down because of some fucking attribute it has.
Yeah.
Basically, the spells are inaccurate.
Some are just more inaccurate than others.
Yeah. Some, you might get one that actually it curves on purpose,
Yeah.
Things like that.
Or you just get a wand that kills you because something happens and you're not really sure what happens. You just end up dying.
Yeah. So for an example of that, I had a wand and I was trying to spellcraft, and I didn't like. That's the one thing I wish they would kind of explain a little bit more. As you can see, what on the screen right now, they're showing like they give you little stats of what the projectiles can do, but they don't tell you exactly what they do. And I don't know how they implement that, but I would like to see what things actually do. Because like one thing was like it created a lightning arc. So I made a wand and it shot 2 projectiles. Well, one went forward and one like shot out the back end, and then it created the electric arc between the two, which I was in the center of, and it just fucking electrocuted me and killed me.
I think it's
So,
just
like-
something that you have to like learn the hard way how to start crafting your spells, and it's part of the process, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely requires the player to kind of learn the hard way, like knowing getting a spell and then trying it out and then learning what that spell does. Or when you pick up a wand, you read the attributes and understand what the values mean. Like if it has a degree of 16, what does that even mean?
Yeah, and you have to like kind of it gets kind of technical in a way, because you might have a wand that has 15 slots in it for different spells and attributes, and then each one takes up a certain amount of mana and stuff. So if you have 100 mana, well, your first 6 spells might take up all that mana, and then the last 6 spells just don't do anything because you can't shoot enough to get to them. So you have to like be very conscious, aware of like what you're putting in the wand as well.
Ultimately, I don't think any of us have played the game enough to have like a definitive opinion on the mechanics themselves. At least I don't. Like I literally don't have. It really feels like one of these endless games where you, even after putting 200 hours into it, you can still say that there's stuff that you don't know anything about. Like it really gives me the Isaac feels, where it took hours upon hours upon hours to get on a level on Isaac where I knew all the secrets and how items interacted with each other and stuff like that. But it's definitely a fun game. And it stuff explodes and stuff's on fire, and I'm a simple man and I like simple things. I like this game. I will beat it someday.
Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah, it looks like definitely something I want to try for sure.
The speed run record right now is like 4 minutes, though.
I can beat that.
There's definitely like different ways you can, because I've seen people like getting the right spells essentially, and they can from the start point of the game they can dig down to the final boss.
Yep.
That to me is one of those crazy things. But that was Noida. I like that game. And I that's one of those games I can easily recommend to people.
That's true.
That's true.
Even Sully likes it.
Does that name mean something in Finnish?
Yeah, means witch.
Oh, okay, cool. There you go, everyone. We just gave you a language lesson.
Boom.
You speak Finnish now.
Boom.
You're welcome.
Learning.
Put it on your resume.
Yeah.
The more you know.
But yeah, even Sully likes this, and Sully hates video games. So,
Yeah.
I mean, all games except FF7.
Yeah.
Let's get that straight.
And Mordhau.
And Mordhau, yeah.
And Mordhau.
God, I hate Mordhau. It's such a fucking.
It's a shit show. That's what it is.
So,
In VR chat.
And VR chat.
Has he been playing VR chat just on his regular computer with you, Trevor?
Yeah.
yep.
I've heard it's still pretty fun even outside of VR, but I don't after I've played it once in VR, there's no way I could go back.
Yeah. I think I'm not gonna try to get back on a VR rant, but like
Yeah.
I think playing VR chat on just a normal monitor, it can still be funny to watch the people and what's going on in there, but like when you're wearing the headset and stuff, obviously you can interact with things or sort of interact with things, and that just it's a whole new different feeling.
But okay, we got one last game to talk about, which is pre-planned at least, and then we jump into the real thing. Just fucking
The big story.
Watch out, China! I'm gonna rip you a new one, you fucking bitches.
Assuming your internet lasts that long.
Yeah.
Don't worry, my voodoo spell holds.
Sorry, man. I'll go do a rain dance outside. I'm sure we can get something worked out. I'm like 130.
It's needed.
I'm 132nd Native American. I'm pretty sure it'll work.
I'm pretty sure. I did a test one day.
Look, I did a rain dance a few years ago, and it only took 4 or 5 months for it to rain here. I know it works.
Damn, that's solid proof right there.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, we played a game with North. We played a co-op game. Just trying to find something. This is a good spot because we're just going up and down.
And I actually streamed that game. First
Shit,
time
we'll pull up a North
4 months or something, or 5.
I'll pull up a North stream here, so you guys don't have to watch only me play games.
Yeah, dang, I must have missed it, North.
Yeah, like I don't know. We streamed on Monday when we were supposed to do the podcast. That's when we streamed this thing. So this game is called We Were Here Together. And please load, thank you very much. Back to the... So yeah, North, explain what this game is while I'll fucking fiddle around.
It's a co-op game. I think it's the 3rd title they released, but I think the earlier ones are like single player puzzle games, but this is a co-op version of it. And it's good fun. There's a lot of puzzles, and they're not like super hard, but you have to have like good communication just to work around it. That's me looking at a toilet. And basically here, when I go up, Tom goes down, and somehow we still have to get up to the top. So basically, we're just discussing whether I should go down with this specific elevator so Tom can go up, and vice versa. And that is this puzzle, for example. And we didn't finish the game, and we only had trouble with one puzzle because we didn't quite real or like understand how it worked. Seemed fairly simple, but we just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, even with the solution, I still didn't understand what they wanted from us from that puzzle.
Yeah.
And this is a game. This is a game where, like, the number one key thing for winning is clear communication, because you cannot see, I've never seen this footage. So North and we don't see each other's stuff. So when North is doing the things with the elevators, he has to explain to me what he sees so I know what I do. And all the puzzles are made in this way. Like in this area, we're in the same place. Immediately, I think after this puzzle, the game separates us. So we have to. That's when the game really forces us to communicate in descriptive ways, so that we know what to do. I'd say this is a fun game. It really puts you on the spot, and streaming this game means that if chat there's a cat on Trevor's cam. Bye, cat. Okay. But yeah, if chat gets the solution first before you, then chat just laughs at your inability to understand the most easiest things ever. And we spent on one puzzle, which we did complete without looking it up, probably like 40 fucking minutes. And it didn't click on me. And then when it did click, it was pretty easy. But my God, I felt defeated. And some of you guys in chat know which one I'm probably talking about. It's the where we did the gas puzzle with the vents and the shit and the.
Yeah, it's hard because you can't really like visualize what's going on the other side. Basically, what the puzzle was about, I had like set of pipes, and I could like pump a different colored flame through the pipe, and Tom would have like a reservoir for that a certain color flame, and we would somehow have to communicate together to make that fill up the tankers. And it's very hard. Like this is all I see, and Tom has a set of pipes that he sees, and I have to explain him what I need for him to do so I can help him, and he doesn't know what he actually like needs. So I need to ask him, can you do this so I can do you this? And it was quite difficult, especially when you don't use their native language.
Yeah, because obviously we streamed in we talk in English because that's what chat is about. I don't think we would have had any bigger success talking Finnish to each other, because it's still the same problems. Like, it's very difficult to just descriptively like talk to the other person, because you don't see what the other person sees. And because you don't do that, it's very hard to know what you're even supposed to ask or supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because this is what North was seeing. So I'll quickly pull up my own stream to show you guys like what I'm talking about. It's even fucking difficult to describe right here because of what it is.
Yeah, I feel like you have to start off the puzzles for like finding what is the end goal. What do you have to do? For instance, we ended up in a room that was basically the same room for both of us, but we were still not in the same room, but they were almost identical. And it had like multiple puzzles, like missing pieces, and I have to touch stuff in order. And like we couldn't like figure out what to do at the beginning.
Yeah, I remember I didn't tune in all through the whole podcast. I just watched the beginning of it. And I remember I had both you guys pulled up so I can see both the streams. and I remember seeing it was the radio wave
Oh yeah.
puzzle. It was like one of the first puzzles, I think.
Yeah, the first real puzzle in the game.
And it was weird because it's funny, like you said, because like as a audience member, and I get to see both screens, like I immediately was like, "Oh, you're supposed to do this," and it took you guys like 10 minutes to figure it out, and it's just kind of you have to like kind of as the audience, you got to understand like, oh, well, he doesn't see what this guy sees, so obviously he's just kind of like going off like, what do you like, you have to just be like, well, what do you mean the wave is tall, kind of thing. And then, but if you can see both screens, it's like the puzzles, at least at that point in time, seeing the puzzles were very simple puzzles. But then once you know, only get half the picture, it becomes something that's a lot more difficult.
Yeah. So basically, in this puzzle, I have to ask Tom to send, let's say, like red color flame to like number 1 pipe, so I can like put another color onto it, and then send that color back to him. And it's not a hard puzzle if you see the whole picture, but since you don't see all of it, it definitely takes a while.
It's really like it really comes down to how good are you at communicating with your partner.
Yeah. And
like the last puzzle we did before we stopped streaming was I think there's 4 different puzzles or 5 different puzzles in one room, and both of us are in the same room, but we don't see each other, but it's the same room. It has minor differences, so when we are trying to find something, we have to like describe what's in that room. Like, oh, it's on the table. On the left side of the table, there's a little table on, and on the little table, there's a little thing on the table. Is it right there on the little thing on the little table by the big table? And it goes into those depths entirely. And there's a clock puzzle in that room where North has to describe which beat the clock is ticking in. So like do do do, like and mimic the beat. And then I have to fiddle around with the fucking clock to get the right beat. And it's one of those things where it's super difficult to. How do you describe a beat to somebody? Without mimicking the beat, of course.
Yeah.
The disarming bomb game that Sully is talking about is don't talk or you're explode or something like that. Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Yeah. Keep talking and yeah. But overall, I think this game was I do want to finish it with North still. Is it worth it? I don't really know.
How much was it?
Shit, I don't remember. Can you North look it up?
I think it was like 12.
But I don't want to pull up Steam because I don't know where Steam is pulled. Oh, $13. Not overly pricey.
I feel like that's pretty worth it for a fun little co-op puzzle game like that.
Yeah. I think it's around 7 to 10 hours, depending how good you're communicating.
Yeah.
Or how long your patience lasts.
Yeah.
But definitely, I think this is a very cool game for streaming purposes. Because you can pull up both streams and see what like obviously the streamers don't see. And it for a viewer, I would like to see somebody else play this with a partner so I could watch and get like the bigger experience. And obviously because I played only like kind of half of the game, I would say that this has some sort of replayability, but I would pick another partner. Because obviously if you play it with the same partner but switched, you already know the game pretty well. Because you can explain to your partner what you tried to explain the first time around. With a new partner, you would still only have like half of the people playing knows what's going on. But flipping, like playing it another time by flipping it means that you essentially play the second or like half of the game.
I feel like I might even enjoy more playing it again because I know what the end goal is. I hate it when I have like a puzzle, but I don't know what to do with it. For instance, there was this one room where I actually had the pipes, and then I had a weird ladder mini game puzzle where you were handing on the ladders, and I had to like somehow make it move. I had that one, and then I had like some botany stuff. Like I didn't know which one should I like work with. And,
it's definitely difficult when you enter a puzzle room and you have no idea what you're supposed to do, and you have to fiddle around. Like, I accidentally initiated the ladder puzzle because I went down the hole, and I just wanted to go check it out. And then the puzzle's initiated, and then I'm about to die because the water's rising. And then I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm screaming to North that he needs to do something, and North's like, I don't fucking know what to do. And then he fights the fucking shit, and I see something moving. I'm like, do that, do that, do that. And then like, I don't know what's happening anymore. But we crushed it.
Yeah. What you just said, you said like the water was right. So can you die in the game?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, when you die, the puzzle kind of resets.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is like, how does that work when, I guess, if one of you dies or whatever? Like, so it just resets the game for both of you, or the puzzle, that save point?
Yeah, I believe it resets the puzzle. We didn't die in the water thing. Come on. North and I, we finished it without dying.
It was pretty close though.
Yeah, it was very close, because at some point I started explaining things to North that were wrong, but I didn't realize they were wrong. And then North accidentally did the right thing. Then it was difficult to go back to doing the right thing. The entire game comes down to, like, your level of enjoyment comes down to how well are you able to communicate with your partner without it being frustrating. I know Chad is saying that we were frustrated with North. I do somewhat agree with that at some point, but we were streaming a long time, and when there's frustrating things happening for hours, it might seem that we're just at the end of our line when you don't really have energy to explain everything in excruciating detail.
So you would say don't play this with someone you already have a short temper with.
Well, take it slowly. Like, you don't have to finish the whole game in one sitting. Just take a puzzle or two and then continue next week.
Obviously, it being a puzzle game, I'm not an overly big fan of puzzle games myself. So, and I mean, everyone knows themselves better. Are you into puzzle games or are you not into puzzle games? Like, who the fuck am I to tell? I just think this is a very good co-op experience.
Definitely. I only have one negative thing about this, is the VoIP. It's not good.
Yeah,
like, you have the walkie-talkies, you can talk through them, and it's very immersive. But I couldn't get Tom like high enough volume so I could actually like understand it, and stream could actually like make sense of it. It just doesn't work.
So are you saying they purposely make the sound shitty through the?
No, I'm saying they fucked it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I was saying. They purposely did it, but they did it too much.
No, what is happening is the volumes are too low. No. Even at max volume, they're too low.
Like, it's okay that you get like low quality sound because it's more immersive.
Yeah.
But still, if you can't get it high enough, it's kind of annoying. It's sort of like, oh, what did you say? Can you repeat that? Because I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
And it's hard enough to communicate in the first place. Why would you have to battle with that?
It's definitely a cool gameplay idea, though, that you have a little walkie-talkie and it does the walkie-talkie sounds and everything.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you talk to your partner.
So when you guys played, did you guys didn't use Discord then? Or I guess you did because it sucked.
Yeah, we used Discord.
We tried using it. It was it was too bothersome, so we just gave it.
Yeah, because I mean, you can't fiddle it around with it if you have like any sort of, like, I could make it work with voice meter, but that would require me to lower put my desktop sound higher and then lower the game volume in the game so that the voice is fucking high enough, and at that point it's just I'll just fucking use Discord.
Yeah.
Overall, good game.
It seems fun. It seems along the same kind of like co-op fun as like Portal 2 co-op. I had a really good time with that too.
This is I would say that if you like Portal 2, Portal 2 is, by the way, infinitely better. Yes, I understand that. But this is very close to that Portal 2 experience in the co-op aspect of it. Because it is like specifically designed for co-op. And you cannot play this alone. Much like how you cannot play the Portal 2 co-op game alone.
Like, even if you have like a 1 million IQ guy on the other end, if the other guy doesn't know how to say stuff in the right order, it just doesn't go that way. Just can't do it.
It's definitely like it's a different kind of experience. And it's good co-op fun. Okay. Now is the time. Is the stream still up? Are we good?
Yes.
We're good.
There's no airstrikes. I don't hear any assault teams coming down my lane.
Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
My flu is getting worse by the minute. I got
they
some
cannot stop
flu.
us.
Yeah.
Those Chinese bastards cannot stop us now.
I feel like if I sneeze one more time, my nose gonna bleed.
Hang on, let me go get my guns.
So, Blizzard has been in some hot water in these past 3-ish weeks. And that is the nicest thing I'm gonna say for the rest of the stream. The shit show is still ongoing. Like, if we would have the podcast on Monday, there would be stuff that would have been left out because they happened after Monday. They cannot stop fucking up. I don't understand. Okay, so what's happened? So, in the beginning of this month, or actually, let's start over. There's this Hearthstone tournament called the Grandmasters, the Masters Tour, which started this year back in February. So, Blizzard is hosting this Hearthstone tournament. They have it takes months and months for this entire thing. They play their games and it culminates in BlizzCon. They do the finals at BlizzCon. So they have the Americans have their own like league, and Europe has their own, and then Asia Pacific has their own, and then the best from each region comes to BlizzCon, and then they fight for the first prize, I think, or I guess. Now, also, very shortly about current events in the world. If you have never heard of the Hong Kong protests that are ongoing, then I commend you. The rock you're living under is way better than my rock. But for the past 4 months, there's been massive protests in Hong Kong. I'm not going to go into not deep into the reasons why they're protesting. It basically boils down to that they want freedom, liberty, freedom of speech, and democracy. Democracy is the big thing. It's all of those things that any self-respecting Westerner would be like, hell yeah, I support those things. If you don't, okay, fine. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you what you should believe in. So, during a stream of Hearthstone gameplay where there was a player named Blitzchung, he won his match against some other player, and in these Hearthstone games they have post-game interviews. And during one of these official streams, Blitzchung had a mask and goggles on him, which is a clear sign of his support for these Hong Kong protests, because masks were banned in Hong Kong, because it makes it more harder for the popo to identify the protesters. So they banned masks, which promptly was ignored by every Hong Kong protester. He also, after that, he proclaimed his support for the protest by saying a popular kind of their phrase for the Hong Kongers, which is, I think the translation is something in the lines of liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time, or something like that. There's been different translations. I don't know if any of them are completely right, but essentially it's just like, it's clearly on the side. He is from Hong Kong himself. Now, Blizzard could have done any of the number of things, but they, in their infinite wisdom, they decided to ban the guy for, supporting democracy. And a number of reactions have happened since then. Initially, Blizzard gave this guy a 1-year suspension from being part of any Hearthstone tournaments, and they also stole all of his prize money that he would have gotten. I say steal because he did win the money by playing, and they decided to withhold all of that cash that he would have gotten after the Masters Tour is done. And this is the rule they cited. Going to load this shit up. This is from the official reason why they banned the guy. And this is the thing. Engaging in any act that in Blizzard's sole discretion, that's important, brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, or otherwise damages Blizzard's image, will result in removal from Grandmasters and reduction of the player's prize pool to $0, in addition to other remedies which may be provided for under the handbook and Blizzard's website terms. I would like to point out here that they banned him because of Blizzard's sole discretion, and they banned him because, according to themselves, Blitzchung brought public disrepute or offended a portion of the group of the public, somebody or a group in the public, or he damaged Blizzard's image. Now you can pick any one of those, and I still think this is bullshit, because the only people that were offended were the Chinese government. And if anybody tells me otherwise, I don't believe them. I do understand, I had a lengthy discussion with Trevor about this already, that it's pretty normal that companies have this no politics rule anyway. I get that. But we're talking about millions of people protesting for human rights and freedom of speech and democracy. I think that because this was in Blizzard's sole discretion, they could have let this one slide. Because they have to fucking know this will backfire. And it certainly did.
I would like to say that they probably should ban themselves, because the move they did definitely damaged their reputation.
Fucking self 5.
Self 5.
It's like that meme with the two Spider-Mans pointing at each other.
Yeah.
Now there's it's really difficult to talk about this without bringing politics into this. And ever since this entire okay, so breaking off of Blizzard a little bit, I would argue that the bigger shitstorm another entity is the NBA, their PR nightmare is far from over. They've already lost millions of dollars because they also sided with China and their human rights violations and their tyrannical dictatorship government. And they are facing actual consequences because of the actions the NBA has taken. Where if somebody wants to go down a deep rabbit hole, what has happened in the NBA in the last month, it's interesting to dive into a situation where the NBA is trying to play two sides. They're trying to play the Western audience with Western values, and they're trying to play the side of the Chinese government with all of the opposing values that the West has. And anything they choose, Blizzard is in the exact same position. Anything they choose, it will backfire on them. Because if they go left, the right hates them. If they go right, the left hates them. It cannot be a worse situation to be in.
Yeah, because there's no middle ground. You pick middle ground, everybody hates you.
See, the middle ground usually companies pick is to not say anything. We don't like it. No comment, or this doesn't concern us. We're not about this, or like politics, it doesn't belong here. And usually that works. I get that. But I would argue that this is not that black and white anymore. We're talking about a protest that is happening in Hong Kong where an actual evil government is trying to suppress the people in there. Like, motherfuckers, we fought a war against this shit. The entire world fought a war against this exact same thing. When Hitler decided to imprison the Jews and have a ethnic cleansing. And the rest of the world decided that they're dicks and they need to be dealt with. Now, the same thing is not going to happen now because, unfortunately, capitalism rules. And with the Western companies, what they all agree upon is that they need to make not some of the money, it's all of the money. And China is a market that is untapped, and it has huge potential. Blizzard knows this, the NBA knows this, and a heap of other companies knows this too. But that's the last I'm going to say about the NBA. It is really interesting, if anybody is interested, to look how not to do PR. I have been laughing at the NBA for better days of the month now. But back to Blizzard. So they banned the guy, and the internet raged, essentially. So what happened after that? Blizzard was quiet for a while. And then 1 week after they banned Blitzchung, they made a statement. 1 week was a long time. They were mega silent. And I mean,
they were probably just hoping it would go away.
Probably. They probably still do that. Let's not forget.
Oh, yeah.
BlizzCon is soon. And last year's Red Guy shirt, who asked if this is a out of season April Fool's joke when they talked about Diablo Immortal, is going to be kid stuff compared to this year, potentially.
Yeah. I'm assuming there's probably going to be protests just out there.
Oh, there are. They're already.
Well, I mean, when
organized.
Blizz. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's multiple protest groups that have banded together, and they are going to organize a protest during BlizzCon. Like, not at BlizzCon, because obviously they wouldn't be let in and they don't have tickets, but they're going to be outside.
Well, that's how, yeah,
I think.
Yeah, outside the building.
Yeah. But 1 week after this banning, the CEO of well, no, it's not the CEO, the president of Blizzard Entertainment, J. Allen Brack, issued a statement, which is long. I'm just gonna scroll down here. This is how long it is. The important part here is that
Are you talking about what they reduced his sentence to?
Oh no, I mean they reduced the sentence to 6 months, and they will give him his prize money. So they backtracked on the initial ban. I'm trying to find the spot where Brack essentially says that the reason why they banned him was not because he voiced his support for Hong Kong, but rather the reason is that he said anything at all. And that's why that's why I said that in Blizzard's sole discretion was an important point. They decide, obviously, what is okay and what's not okay. But the important part is that they took action against this particular thing that was said.
Yeah, but it says there, every voice matters. Like,
yeah,
duh, doesn't.
Every voice matters is one of Blizzard's main, like these core values of Blizzard. I mean, their core values is on their website. Anybody can check them. But every voice matters is something that they strongly encourage. I'm just citing what Brack said. After this statement, it was again not really well received. He's still banned for 6 months. Oh, and the casters, the 2 casters that were on that stream, were initially, during the initial ban, they were just fired because they were there. And they were eventually was clarified that they were banned or fired because they did nothing to stop Blitzchung. And
what were they supposed to do? Go over there and punch him in the face?
Oh no, I mean,
yeah, what the hell?
It's very clear that they knew what he was going to do. And they did nothing to stop him.
They didn't at least try to talk him out of it or something, I guess.
Yeah.
From what I saw was basically the way he words it is like, it's as an interviewer, it's their responsibility to keep the conversation on the tournament, and I guess they didn't do anything to like draw him back towards that whenever he started.
Yes.
Yeah, they could have been like, oh, this is going on, like just turn off the webcam or something.
Yeah, and that's essentially what happened. But during this, after the second statement, they are suspending both casters for 6 months too. I still think it's bullshit, but I mean, I think the entire thing is bullshit.
They'll probably end up just firing them in like 3 months after they hire them back on for other reasons.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows, like, if they will ever rehire them. Like, who knows if they even want to ever work for Blizzard ever again. I certainly probably wouldn't want to. So after that, it's still ongoing. People are still mad. Two casters have resigned. Brian Kibler is the more prominent one, and Kibler himself, he said that he can do this. He can resign in protest because he has other income. He's a streamer. He's a full-time streamer job, and I think he also casts the Magic tournaments. So it's not like he's without a job when he does this. Another thing that I think was very important in Kibler's statement was when he explained that even though he's able to walk away from this in protest, essentially, he encourages us, the viewers, to not shit on the other players or casters or the personnel working on this esports scene, because a lot of them they can't just up and leave because they still need money to live, you know. And I think it's important. I don't think overall anybody could be mad at the players or the personnel because they never made this decision. There's been people at Blizzard HQ that has been protesting too about this. They've staged walkouts. They've because Blizzard has the big statue on their grounds, which has all the company values. They put paper on them to like cover them in protest. There was also a American Hearthstone team consisting of 3 players who held up a sign which said "Free Hong Kong, boycott Blizz," and they did not get banned, which again caused outrage. Because why would one person get banned but not another one? So they announced that they're gonna just, quit the tournament that they were part of. And only after they quit the tournament, then Blizzard banned them. Which is, it's just weird. Like, how do you do that? Like, I don't understand.
You're not gonna leave me, I'm gonna leave you.
And I mean, yeah, they got the same 6-month suspension as Blitzchung ultimately is serving now. And I don't know, it was just I think it was a spineless move to ban the guys after they already announced that they're gonna quit the tournament. It's useless to ban them at that point. And it was not received very well. And yeah, what Chad is saying, the Nintendo was supposed to host Nintendo's some shop in New York City, the Overwatch launch. They would have had an Overwatch launch party, which got cancelled, and Nintendo, they wasted no time. Oh, they've actually deleted the tweet. But Blizzard was the one that cancelled that event, probably in the fear of protests or negative press or whatever. And recently, I mean, you know you fucked up, right? You know you fucked up when fucking... Can this be blown up anyway? Nope. Okay. I don't know how well this will be on the stream, but let's just see. The US congressman and congresswoman wrote a letter to Bobby Kotick, who's the CEO of Activision Blizzard. And I personally think that when the people that are in your Congress start writing you letters condemning your actions, that's when you know you fucked up. And the text might be like super small and you can't read it. Essentially what this letter boils down to is that they condemn Blizzard's choice to ban him and to withhold his prize money. This letter also, if you read the entirety of the letter, it seems like it's written before they reduced his sentence, which I believe it is. It's signed by Ron Wyden, Marco Rubio, AOC, Mike Gallagher, and Tom Malinowski. Personally, I know only 2 of those people. And yeah, that's basically where we are at right now.
Yeah, I feel like there's not gonna be a public Q&A at BlizzCon this year or next
probably
one.
Not. Probably not. I mean, if anything, like last year was such a shit show for Blizzard. Even though like we're all memeing about it right now, about the Diablo Immortal and mobile and don't you guys have phones? LOL. I think this is way more serious. It's way less memey, I think. And
I actually had mixed feelings on this whole thing, because like I think from Blizzard's like from their point of view, like they're fucked no matter what. But in a way, like, and I was talking to him about this. He like you mentioned earlier, one thing they said was like, it's just because he took a stance in either way, that they banned him. And when it comes to the punishment that he gets, that's up for debate. Like I don't think that was the right punishment, but to just say like, oh, he should have just been able to do it, what he did, even if it's for the right reason, because I agree with the Hong Kong protesters. If they let him do that, why can't the next guy go out there and protest for China or for anything for that matter? because it's free speech, right? And if they want to talk about, I don't know, KKK, they should be able to do it then.
Yeah.
And Blizzard can't ban them because it's free speech.
I'm actually right there with you, Trevor. I've been extremely torn about this as well. And on the one hand, I do think that Blizzard should stay as neutral as they can, and unfortunately, their repeated core values just kind of made them put their own foot in their mouth. I feel like if they didn't have, if it was a different company that didn't have literally every voice matters plastered everywhere, it would be a totally different story. But because that is one of their core values, they can't do what they did. And that's, they keep pushing that even in the story from the games they put out. They try to make it to where everyone knows that they matter. Every person that plays their games that exists, every voice matters. And if they were a different company, I don't think it would have been as big a deal. It definitely still would have been, but because of that, they've shot themselves in the foot.
I mean, how would you guys feel? And this is a legitimate question. How would you guys feel if a guy went up there and was on the side of China and was like, "We need to stop the protesters of Hong Kong. We need to get them. We need to have them become part of China." And then Blizzard banned them for a year and took away their prize money.
I would still think it's a fucking stupid thing.
Yep. It's
and this is because I do understand your point. I truly do. It's a situation where they're just fucked. Because they're trying to play two sides where the two sides are complete opposing views and values.
Yeah. I do.
But then you got to think, once you if you allow that to happen, where do you stop it? Where's the line?
Yeah, at that point, people are going to start getting good at Hearthstone for a message. And there are people that I guarantee would put the amount of time and effort. If they believe in a message hard enough, they'll put in the time and the effort and the money to be a top Hearthstone player, because they suddenly know that they can go up there, win this tournament, and just be a clansman in front of 100,000 people. Like I said, I think it's pretty obvious that everyone here is in support of Hong Kong's liberty, but I also support Blizzard's second decision. The first one was ridiculous. The year-long ban and taking away his money, that's an outrage. But the 6-month kind of probation and he gets to keep his money, I think that's more appropriate. It still sucks, but it is more appropriate.
I feel like it's for the public to like condemn whatever someone brings up in the interview.
It is, but you have to remember how dumb the public is, because any platform, like if someone comes onto Twitch, because most people don't realize that, North, if you say something, that's you saying something. There's a lot of people on the internet that if I get on Twitch and I'm watching Blizzard and you go on there and you say how much you hate, Canadians. Blizzard hates Canadians.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys hear Blizzard hates Canadians? They let that Canadian hating son of a bitch up there and they supported him.
One thing I brought up with Tom was like, what if every episode we started this podcast and I was like, well, hold on, I got to tell my message of whatever it might be. And it could be the most hateful message out there. But I get to say it, even though it's Tom's podcast, he shouldn't be able to kick me off. Because it's my message.
That does make sense, but it's so controversial.
It gets fucked because obviously, because I do understand the other side, but at the same time, I can't support the Chinese government, and I think that there's definitely things that should be completely bannable because they're just the wrong things. And I know that's a very fucking slippery slope to go down to, because who am I to choose what the wrong things are?
Yeah. I think that they should have rule. I think, like I said, their punishment is up for debate on if it was too strict or not strict enough, whatever. I think it was too strict, but I don't think that they should just have let him do what he did, even if it was for good reasons and it was for a in my opinion, righteous cause. It's a company that needs to stay neutral to the public eye, and they have to do something to try to stay neutral to the public eye. And when someone does that, it puts them in a position that it basically they're screwed either way.
Well,
so
we have to remember though that Blizzard is choosing to because at the end of the day, Blizzard has put themselves in this situation. It's really fucking unfortunate for Blizzard that the Hong Kong protests are happening. Because without the Hong Kong protests, none of this would have ever happened. And Blizzard gets to be happy and do business in China and the rest of the world, and no one would have ever cared. But because the Hong Kong protests is happening, not only Blizzard, but the NBA and fucking Nike and shit, the one hotel chain and shit, they're all in deep fucking crisis mode right now. Because more and more things gets exposed that we, the regular people, perceive to be fucked up.
I would like to point out one difference between the NBA and the Blizzard thing, where Blizzard's would be more like omission. It's more supporting them by the act that they did, not really actively supporting the Chinese government. Where the big thing that the NBA fucked up with is whenever they show at the beginning of in China, whenever they start the NBA games, they showed a map of China, and on that map they also showed what's called the 9-dash line, which is an extension of China's property that goes down into that. I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's the sea southeast of China's mainland. They unlawfully claim ownership of that whole section of sea, where the rest of the world more or less agrees that Vietnam and a few other smaller Asian countries actually control that. And whenever the NBA started their telecast, they had the Chinese landmass and they included the 9-dash line around that ocean, which the rest of the world does not agree with. So that's kind of the difference between what Blizzard did and what the NBA did, where they more actively actually showed something that the rest of the world completely disagrees with.
I would also like to point out that the NBA has been fucking up with a lot of things.
That's just the one big example that I know of that's kind of the in my mind the biggest difference between what the NBA did and what Blizzard did, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like Blizzard can say however much they want that we don't take a stance, we don't care about the things that are happening in the world and like whatever. Like they can do that as much as they want to. I as a consumer can look at Blizzard and say that I'm not going to support your products anymore because of what you did. And that is exactly what I've done. I will not play Blizzard games anymore. My Blizzard account doesn't exist anymore.
I won't either until Diablo 4 comes out.
Yeah, like the big rumors are right now that BlizzCon happens in like 2 weeks, 1 week or some shit like that. And the big rumors right now is that Overwatch 2 is going to be announced and Diablo 4 is definitely going to be announced. And but I'm mostly interested if there's going to be a public Q&A or not.
I hope
most
so.
Most likely not.
Yeah, I hope there is.
I hope so too, but if they're not even confident enough that they can control an Overwatch release for Nintendo at a Nintendo store, which is probably the most peaceful place in New York, I can't imagine them even starting to hope that a bunch of because those people at those Q&As get rowdy anyway. Like they're rowdy when they're happy.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, what question are you gonna ask? Okay, that's good. Don't ask any other questions. And the guy picks up the mic, is like, what do you think about China? Or something like that.
Do you support human rights? Yes or no? Simple question, motherfucker.
This is a simple question right here.
the only way they'll have a Q&A is they're going to have the dude that asked the question standing there, and then they're going to have a prompter holding the mic. And he's going to have the dude tell him the question to ask. I guarantee it. If there is a Q&A, they're going to have a middleman.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
If they're smart, they will.
Yeah, the person that's actually asking the question, his voice will never be heard.
Oh, there's gonna be that one guy that's gonna get thrown out because he yells something at that one quiet moment in the show.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if people, you know, like protesters, like plant themselves in the crowd and then just like get up and walk out or something. I'm not gonna be surprised if that happens.
See, I don't think that will happen, because you have to remember BlizzCon it's in one place. The tickets cost money, and there's a lot of people who fly from different parts of the world. Some people put thousands of dollars on this. If I put thousands of dollars at it, I wouldn't go to BlizzCon and then stage a protest and just say fuck off everybody and then fuck off.
Unless you want to make a huge statement.
I mean, if I'm crazy enough for that 15 minutes of internet fame and be the good guy for like 15 minutes, I would blow up on Reddit. There would be thousands upon thousands of upvotes and people praising me as the second coming of Jesus, but after 15 minutes, no one would even remember what kind of shirt I had on.
Tom?
Except the color, the red shirt guy.
What you need to do, you need to go to BlizzCon and you need to have a giant sign that says, I paid $1,500 to tell you to fuck off. Just hold it up over your head the whole time.
All I can think of is like the scene from the Trailer Park Boys, and he's like, I'm going to pay you $100 to fuck off.
Yes, exactly.
A good way to protest them would be just have everyone just wear red shirts inside.
Yeah.
See, that's something that it would send a message and nobody would have to like just abandon their place.
Yeah.
I would actually like that if everybody would have a red shirt on, because then the people that works for Blizzard who's on there, they would know exactly why they have red shirts on.
Twitter it, red shirt protest, hashtag red shirt protest.
I'm sure you guys already know this sign, but for the viewers that don't, if you do end up watching Blizzard, the BlizzCon at all, watch for people covering their right eye. They'll either have an eye patch on or they might just be looking like this. Apparently that's because people were getting like hit in the face with stuff, and there was one instance where a woman lost her eye. That's like the big protest sign for Hong Kong. Is they'll walk around with eye patches on, or they'll just walk around like this. So yes. if you're watching the BlizzCon live stream and you see people like that, those are protesters.
And also in that same way, it reminds me. So during this entire thing, what also has happened is people over on Reddit have been trying to get Mei from Overwatch to be a symbol of the protests. So, for example, this is one of the more popular images, and here Mei is covering her right eye, which is the sign of a. So Mei is Chinese in Overwatch, which is why they're using Mei specifically.
Yeah. They were also doing it with other major corporate sponsors like that, or not sponsors, but corporate mascots. Like there's a ton of Mickey Mouse art. Apparently Disney is huge in China. There's a ton of Mickey Mouse art, him covering his eye and wearing red and stuff. Hello Kitty is gigantic in China. They've started using Hello Kitty and that stuff, hoping that because of that it'll get banned and end up causing the Chinese government tons of money, because like Disneyland or the Chinese Disney World is a government funded operation. And like with Winnie the Pooh is banned in China. So what they're hoping to do is get Mickey Mouse and Hello Kitty banned in China so that they have to spend millions or billions of dollars to get it all removed.
Yeah. And that's also the same reason why they chose Mei to be the symbol of the protests, is that the end goal was to get Overwatch banned in China. I honestly believe this is kind of a turning point, or I might be overblowing this, but it really feels, because a lot of people are talking about this, and I think there comes points in history where everybody just has to make a choice about something. I think there comes a point where nobody can't put their hands up and say, no comment. It's the answer is forced from them. Like these companies that are in this shit show, people are asking the simple questions. Why are you doing business with a tyrannical government that executes people? And I mean, the simple answer is because we want money, because we have a legal obligation to our shareholders to make as much money as possible. But you can't say that. No company will ever take the stand and say, we want all of your money. Give it now, please. Like, nobody would do that.
I hate that, like, the CEO response, because it's always something like super smushy, gushy, printed out with nice words and stuff. And it doesn't mean anything. That's why I never read those things, because it just trying to make you feel better about what
it's the verbal equivalent. It's the verbal equivalent of vanilla ice cream. Yeah, it's not bad, but I would much rather have something else instead of this bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, because I mean, you can boil it down like goddamn. And I don't say this as a joke. If slave labor would be legal, we would have only slaves. It doesn't, like, a company cannot have morals or ethics. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. People still buy Adidas shoes and Nike fucking wear when they got caught using child labor. And everyone was mad for 2 months and then it's like, whatever. I mean, the hypocrisy starts with us, the consumers. We can protest all we want about something, but when the hard decisions comes to our door, do we support those companies? That's when we get distorted, and it's like
yeah, it would be very hard for me to like give up like Overwatch if I were like super into it, or especially if I were like an esport player, but I don't play any Blizzard games. So it's very easy for me to be like, oh, well, I guess I'd just delete my whole characters and everything, because it doesn't mean anything to me, and it's very easy for me to just do it. But you can't go like every single time. Like if you want to buy a phone that is not made in China, it's not easy. Most of the phones are made somewhere very close to China.
Yeah. I think what it'll all boil down to for Blizzard on how much this bites them in the ass is consistency. If they're not consistent and something happens that they do let slide, then they're gonna feel it.
BlizzCon will certainly show also how much Blizzard gets like brought up in the news more. Like and also how long people will just generally care.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, everyone has to make their own decisions on who you support and what you care about. I'm not saying here that if you support Blizzard, you don't care about human rights. I mean, that's absurd. And I mean, the fact is that it's China controls just a lot of things. And if you want to live a China-free life, fucked.
If you want to live a truly China-free life, make it yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's like, not joking, I think that's probably the only way to guarantee that nothing you have is Chinese. Like you would have to follow every component.
At first I thought you were saying like
make a Chinese life or a not Chinese life.
Yeah, I was like, what does that even mean?
Just that's what I mean. Like if you want a pair of shoes that aren't Chinese or tainted from China, you're gonna have to make them yourself probably, or else you'll have to follow every single individual component of whatever you're buying, beginning to end. Because like if you buy a phone that is made in, let's say, Taiwan, that doesn't mean that the components were manufactured in Taiwan. That means that phone was assembled in Taiwan. So every component could have been bought from China and then it been assembled in Taiwan, and bam, made in Taiwan.
Yeah, it's a very troublesome process to go through every single part just to make sure that your phone is not made in China.
That's why you just make your phone yourself.
Long time. Yeah.
Just build your own phone.
Yeah. That's why I would want some modular phones, maybe someday.
Yeah, I think in America, I think there's a rule that to like classify something as American made, it has to be like 60% made in America.
Yeah. I actually do know about a modular phone, North, that I can tell you about later. I just don't want to do it on the podcast. Don't let me forget.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Blizzard fucked up, but they were in a situation where whatever they chose, they would have fucked up anyway. It's just which side thought that they fucked up. And I mean, this will keep happening. It's those pesky kids in Hong Kong that fucks it up for all these multi-million-dollar companies. I'm very sorry. I cannot feel sorry for them.
Is there, do we know? Is there any other companies that are, that have like these tournaments or any, anything in general that something similar has happened to, and they're just like, let them do what they want to do?
I mean, Apple got under fire when they removed an application that the protesters were used. Track police.
No, I think he means where that did, like an instance where that didn't happen. Do we know of anything where wasn't silenced?
Somebody like who didn't get fucked.
Yeah. Because it would be interesting to see what happens when the next company, this same thing happens, and then they see what they do in response to it. To see if they just go, well, we can't say anything to them because if we do, we're just going to get in trouble. But then if we don't say anything to them, then, who knows? God knows who's going to come here and say what then.
Yeah.
There's like this website that has like companies that have been basically like blacklisted or whitelisted by China.
I mean, South Park got banned immediately after the China episode.
Yeah.
I haven't watched South Park in like 3 years, so.
Okay. The episode was called Banned in China.
Yeah, but spelled like banned, like
B-A-N-D.
Yeah, B-A-N-D. Yeah. But yeah,
and then their reaction was pretty great. Their response.
Yeah, they responded with.
I think it's in the Discord.
Yeah, wait a minute. I can probably find it quicker here.
Also, this was a week ago. Riot Games asked casters and players not to discuss sensitive issues like Hong Kong protests. So there's like multiple companies being affected by this, and they're taking precautions and not to end up like Blizzard.
So I guess the question is, like, now that since like Riot put that out ahead of time, what would be the response if they took action one way or the other?
Ban them.
Like what if Riot's already put it out there? Do not talk about sensitive topics. And I'm sure it's already in their paperwork somewhere, like it is with Blizzard. But does that mean that if this happens again and let's say Riot takes the exact same step, except they jump straight to the 6 month with money? Do you think that since they've already said don't talk about sensitive stuff, that gives them a pass?
No, it's definitely gonna kick out. Probably.
I still think people would be outraged. Because let's not forget, like, the reason people are outraged is because people see this as these corporations standing up for the wrong things. And that's what a lot of people think this boils down to. Now, I think if that's your opinion, then go for it. I mean, I certainly I made my decision to not support Blizzard anymore, but it's a decision I made without any emotion. I see Blizzard as a company that just doesn't have the right values for me. It's not the company for me anymore.
It's not the developer for me anymore.
No, but it isn't. I mean, they went against their own core values, and I think that is. I don't respect them anymore. But this is what I wanted to show. This is the South Park official response when they got banned in China. Like the NBA, we welcome the Chinese censors into our homes and into our hearts. We too love money more than freedom and democracy. She doesn't look just like Winnie the Pooh at all. Tune into our 300th episode this Wednesday at 10. Long live the great Communist Party of China. May this autumn's sorghum harvest be beautiful. Bountiful, sorry. We good now, China? No, they're not good. They're still banned there.
It's also it's very important to note that is not a parody, because I thought it was at first too, but it's pulled straight from their official Twitter. That is actually what they put out. But it's wild. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the China episode they did really, because I haven't been watching South Park in years. I think by the time the 2016 elections were done, I think South Park lost their edge hard, because I don't know, reality just became more weird than anything else. And I don't think their content has been good, really. But the China episode is something I did watch. And the publicity they've gotten from the China episode has really like shot South Park back into like public consciousness in a sense. Because Trevor and me both, we haven't watched South Park in years, and I knew about this thing because people were talking about it, because how ridiculous is it that South Park made a China episode and they got banned in the midst of all this other controversy. I mean, they knew that they're gonna get banned. That's why it's called Banned in China.
Yeah. It's interesting times we live in, when the most, at one point, probably the most controversial TV show ever is the one standing up to China so publicly.
They're not the only ones. Ubisoft did recently also stand up when so to get the game released in China, it needs to go through this rigorous censoring process. And Ubisoft essentially said they're not going to censor their game. Like if the Chinese government doesn't want their game in Ubisoft's way in China, then they're not going to release their game there. And I think that's admirable in a way. It goes against the entire idea of capitalism. And I do understand that if you're a hardcore like fan of capitalism, you don't understand why Blizzard would do why Ubisoft would do that. And in a certain way, I also understand that, because at the end of the day, they're beholden by law to make as much money for the shareholders as possible. And by them telling the Chinese government to fuck off is not really doing that. Epic Games also made a kind of a stance, which maybe it's genuine, maybe it's not. Tim Sweeney, the CEO, stated on Twitter that they will never ban anyone showing pro Hong Kong sentiments anywhere.
But you gotta remember that Tencent owns like 48% of the company.
Yeah, it's a very valid point that Tencent, who is a prominent Chinese company, completely embroiled in the Chinese government, owns part of Epic. They completely own Riot Games, who makes League of Legends. So Riot saying that don't talk about these sensitive issues when Tencent 100% owns them, I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that Tencent told Riot Games to not talk about those things. But who knows?
And also BioWare got like 100 million investment from Tencent for their next game. So
wait, is BioWare making another game?
Yeah,
when can I see that dumpster fire?
Yeah,
I can't
I'm pretty
wait
sure
for
it's
the
gonna be
marketing.
like a mobile game or something.
I can't wait for that marketing to come out. It's gonna be great. It's like, all in all, this entire situation is just kind of fucked. I completely understand if people don't want to even think about this, because it's big issues, it's difficult issues, and it's embroiled in stuff that doesn't happen in our own countries. It's halfway across the world in some dank ass place, who knows, you know. And I mean, for myself, I spend a lot of time just reading about different shit that's happening in the world. This was involved with a major video game company, so I thought that this obviously goes for the podcast, because it's just not Blizzard. Like, the NBA situation is way bigger and way more fucked up, way more entertaining in a way. I think you're muted, Grady.
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm way more interested in seeing how much it's going to affect the NBA than I am Blizzard. Only because, like, the NBA is so ingrained in American culture, where, you know, Blizzard is only ingrained in nerd culture, basically. I'm really interested to see how that's going to affect everything, because that's like, I mean, the NBA is a brand. Like, at the end of the day, that's how they make money, is branding.
Mm-hmm.
And if no one's buying their brand,
well, you are the NBA lore master.
That's true. I am. I'm the what was it? The basketball lore aficionado or something like that.
Do you know when the season starts in the NBA? I know they had the preseason on now, but
I don't. I actually don't watch any basketball.
There was some guy who lives in LA got like $42,000 donated to him to make like pro Hong Kong t-shirts for Lakers' first game. So I guess he's gonna be like outside the stadium and give these t-shirts to people who want them.
That's awesome.
And I think there was another one in Toronto doing the same thing, but way less money. And I mean, the Raptors are not in any way embroiled in this entire thing. It's pretty much the Lakers and Nets at this point, and Houston Rockets.
They're just gonna censor the audience. They're not just gonna show
They've
it.
already been doing that in the NBA. And that's when it kind of, the shit hit the fan real hard, when there were people in the audience having pro Hong Kong things and they were removed from the stadium. Now I get that. You can spin it any way you want to, because you can spin it really easy. We just removed a fan who was causing disturbance. Or you can spin it at the NBA silencing free speech. And however you quote that statement or that situation yields a different response from the one listening or reading or whatever. But they have been doing that. They have removed people from the audience during the preseason. And I mean, the NBA is always going to tell that they support free speech and all those Western values. In the same statement, they're going to say that, but not in our stadium.
Yeah. Like I said, it'll be interesting. I'll be paying close attention to that. I'll be curious because I haven't been following it super close, but do you know if any other players have like stepped forward to say anything
other than LeBron?
Yeah, other than him putting his foot in his mouth because he's a big idiot. I mean, have any players supported Hong Kong?
No,
I didn't think so.
It's probably breaching their contract, so they just can't do it.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who have just personal deals in China, like LeBron.
Yeah, but they probably have in their contract, it's probably said, do not say anything that would hurt this basketball team or whatever, something like that.
But see, that's the kind of, this is when it gets kind of interesting, because the NBA has been very public with pro LGTB stuff, for example. Why is that okay? Because it obviously offends people and it hurts their image. But why is that okay? But it's not okay to support the protests in Hong Kong. Again, because of the money, obviously. Because they're losing millions upon millions of dollars in China right now. That is the reason. I mean, it's important to remember that the companies will support whatever agenda as long as it makes them money.
Yeah, 100%. And in that example, LGBT still makes them buckets of money.
Oh yeah,
like that
definitely.
is supporting. Right now in the political climate, supporting LGBT is very profitable, and that's why like during the July or something, the month of July, there was dozens and dozens of Twitter pictures that had rainbows on them, but then August 1st they were all gone.
Oh yeah. I mean, and this it's very, very cynical. Like, or I mean,
it is. I mean, you're not wrong. It is cynical, but that's how it's. If July was anti-LGBT month and that was what was making money, they would have been right there.
And see, but that's also true, because going back to Blizzard, Tracer is gay, and apparently Soldier is gay right now too. But it is very important to remember that those characters are not gay in China, and that it is because being gay in China is illegal. So all of the positive LGTB stuff that Blizzard is spouting on in the West, they don't hold those same values in China, because I mean they're illegal there. But it brings back to what I said, is that they will support any agenda if it makes them money. They can be pro-gay here and anti-gay someplace else at the same time. And it's that hypocrisy that is pissing off people the most, I think.
But I think that is something that I can like get behind. Like I can sort of understand that, because it's their country. If you want to do business there, you have to follow their rules. But if you, as a consumer, think that's wrong, you can just not support them in the Western countries.
Yeah, I mean, on some level, I do agree with that completely. But then we get to the point where we're talking about human rights. And I don't think there's a discussion about human rights if you support or don't support human rights.
Yeah, that is true.
And that's when it gets kind of muddied, and I feel like I have to tread super fucking carefully what I say, because it is so goddamn easy to say something in a certain light and then say the exact same thing but opposite, which it yields the same result. Like, you mean the same thing, but depending on what you say, you support or don't support. Like, I support companies making money, but I don't really support them making money in the wrong places. And again, that's like, who am I to tell the companies where they can and can't do business?
Yeah, that's true.
And what it boils down to, Tom, is you can't decide where they do business and how they make money. The only thing you can decide on is where you spend your money.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all it comes down to. So I mean, it's fine to not to support them, and like I said earlier, I totally support Blizzard's decision to give this guy a punishment. At the same time, I don't support why they gave him that, the context of that punishment, the Hong Kong and everything. And it's just what it is. I mean, there's black and white doesn't exist. There isn't a black and white in 90% of cases.
It's just that black and white is something that especially corporations really, really try to cling on.
Yeah.
And it's
easier to handle.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I mean, especially if you start to dabble in real political things, where we're not talking about like human rights, but we talk about like gun control, for instance. I think it's very detrimental to a company to start like either be very pro-gun or very anti-gun, especially in America, where it's a decisive kind of issue, and it's more decisive depending on in which state you live in. So I think it's, if you're not a company that sells guns or I don't know, affiliated with the NRA, I don't think you should have a stance on either pro-gun or anti-gun. And I mean, I picked guns as the example because it was the first thing that came to mind. I don't really
Don't
think
take my guns.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you and see that's what it boils down to. There's those don't take my guns, and then when you go to San Francisco, it's like nobody should have guns. So it's a decisive fucking thing.
Yeah.
But it gets kind of fucked up when you start to ask from a company, do you support human rights or not? And then it's like, we try to keep this black and white, you guys. We don't really want to get involved in these types of things, you guys. And at that point, it pisses off people.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I've made my decision. I'm not gonna buy Blizzard games anymore, and that's basically what I can do. And I might be a huge fucking hypocrite myself too.
I think I'm gonna be one of those people that Joe mentioned earlier. Like, you fucked up, but remember, in the future, don't fuck up anymore. Like, then if you behave well, I might buy your games once again if you make good games.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't think of anything like offhand, but I know that there have been game companies that have dumped out garbage, and then the next game been awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what Blizzard's doing right now. They just dumped out a load of garbage, and I hope their next game is awesome. Except instead of game, it's their political decision. You know,
in a way, I still feel sorry for Blizzard that this is going on, because it must have been, well, it's a hell of a shit show to work out. But they, in my opinion, they should just take a stand on one of the other side. But it's probably not going to happen.
They can't do it.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah. No stance is a stance, whether or not they like that.
But I think that's the worst one. That's
But
definitely
they
the worst
literally
one.
can't do anything else because they can't condemn the Chinese government right now because they would lose millions of dollars. And they can't side with the Chinese government because the entire Western audience that they have would be very fucking pissed off. And they would certainly break the mainstream media as being like a fan of a dictator. It would hurt their reputation.
They're not gonna go bankrupt if they support Western ideology.
No, but it's not about going bankrupt. It's about making all the money.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. They
God, I hate every single company.
I mean, it's cynical.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 will sell buckets of copies.
And buckets and buckets.
All the monies. That is a cat. Bye, cat. That was
I just threw my cat across the room.
oh my god.
Man.
That's it, guys. We're getting banned.
Yep.
You can catch all those other guys on their channel, but this channel is dead now.
between Winnie the Pooh shutting us down and him hurling his cat across the room with an anger.
Yeah.
God damn.
This has been a hell of a podcast again. I just want to point that out.
I'm not even sure where the rails are anymore. We went so far off them.
I mean, yeah, it's what I expected. That's why the topic only says Blizzard.
Yes.
But yeah, BlizzCon will be interesting. If anything notable happens during BlizzCon, I mean, shit, if they announce Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4, I will certainly show those trailers. Like, even though I'm banning Blizzard from myself, I will still show Blizzard-related stuff on this podcast, in the good and the bad. And yeah, because ultimately I am a individual, but this podcast exists of viewers and other co-hosts, and I will not assert my own personal opinions and things onto others.
Yeah, and we can still discuss about things in a civil manner.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can talk about Blizzard. Like like I said, like I made the decision to stop supporting Blizzard with no emotional attachment. Like I'm not one of those that write an angry Reddit post and post pictures about how you deleted your account. Like, I don't care. Like, it's my personal decision to shut my account down and not support them, because I don't support what the fuck they're doing anymore. But okay.
Yeah.
This is where we're gonna stop.
Because Trevor has to pee.
That's the truth. He just messaged all of us.
Yeah.
Calling you out, Trevor. Nice.
Pull it up on the big stream, why don't he?
Pull it up on the big stream. Hurry, show him our chat logs. No, don't do that. Maybe not. We'd all be banned.
He just wants to play VR chat.
Oh, yeah.
Sully, you're right.
That's the truth.
You gotta take a virtual whiz.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Though, I promise next month's episode will not be even half as depressing as this one.
And hopefully we'll discuss about all the goofy stuff that happened in BlizzCon.
Yes. Hopefully it will be many yucks, many chuckles to have.
And I look forward to seeing Tom eat both of his socks, because the next Xbox is going to be called Xbox Box.
I will. Call me, Microsoft. Call me.
Just for the names.
Yeah. I have some ideas. Let's not go that way though. Like, I don't want to eat my smelly socks. Come on.
Not yet. They're not ripe enough.
Outer Worlds is coming out next week. I will play that on this channel for sure. Probably on Friday when it comes out, and certainly on Saturday and Sunday. Joe also mentioned it. You want to play it though, or are you gonna?
I'm gonna give it a shot. I really like space westerns. I think that seems fun.
Are you aware that it's an Epic exclusive?
I think it's an Epic exclusive. Actually, I think it comes out on the Microsoft Store too.
Oh like, shit! Yeah, now that you mention, I think it's on the Game Pass.
Yeah, and I do have the Game Pass. So, I will be. Yeah, I'll be playing it through Microsoft. So for sure. So I plan to play some different games. I'm still knee deep in WoW right now.
Knee deep in cocaine.
Knee deep in cocaine. Yeah, I don't sleep anymore.
But yeah, this was us. We should probably stop this because Trevor has to pee.
Yeah. Okay. Trevor's gonna pee now, guys.
Okay. See you guys. Bye.